All right. So, yeah, where we left off was right where Carrie had kind of bull rushed past all of you and ran into the room where Oliver was, lifted him up by his throat, and demanded to know where the ring was. So basically, as that's happening, Ketis, the almost imperceptible weight on your left shoulder just disappears, and you hear a flutter of wings and see Ophelia apparate beside you. She's got a very nervous look on her face. Her eyes are casting left and right, checking the doors. She says, loud enough for you to hear it, depending on where you get, really, maybe all three of you can hear it, but at least certainly enough for Ketis. She says, we're surrounded, new guy. There's dead everywhere, and this is really bad. And Peter, out of nowhere, you see this oddly garbed woman appear beside Ketis and mumble something to him. She appears wholly disinterested in what's happening in this room, but instead is very panicked looking and kind of looking all around. Here, I'll share the image of her. Roll a history check on Peter. With that, yeah, you recognize what she's wearing as being an old style that is not in use anymore. It comes from a region around Mist, around the human capital, but it's just not something that anybody wears anymore. So it definitely looks very out of place. Her demeanor, her mannerisms, everything seems very out of place. But anyway, she doesn't appear to be concerned, I guess, with anything else that's going on. Neither Oliver nor Carrie nor Faith seem to be aware of her appearance at all. They don't appear to have seen her or knows that she's there. Carrie's still grumbling through her gritted teeth. She repeats her demand to Oliver. She says, "Where is it?" And in a choking, nasally tone, he whines, "Put me down. I'll help you get it back. Just put me down." And she tosses him to the side like a rag doll, and he kind of slides across the floor for a couple feet. She throws a steel null crown on the floor, and it kind of clinks off of the ground and lands next to him. Oliver slides across the floor before coming to a stop. He slowly stands up, kind of sheepishly dusts himself off. He pulls the steel ring over his brow and activates it. He kind of holds himself still for a second. He says, all right, I deserved that. I'm sorry, Carrie. I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't mean for this to happen. Just something took control of one of my robots. It attacked me, and it took it. I don't know what the fuck this thing is, but I'm sorry that you guys got mixed up in this. I don't want any of this. You have to believe me. He notices Faith, because Faith has kind of come through behind you guys. She was still, behind you guys in the hallway that came out of that door, and she's kind of floated her way in. He says, Faith, you're here? Wait, you guys went in my room? I guess you found the Emerald Mirror then too. Fuck, alright, priorities. I'll explain to you everything. I'll explain everything. Just, we gotta get this being taken care of and stop my lab from sinking. Carrie asks, what happened, Oliver? He says, okay, but we gotta make this quick. We've only got about 22 minutes left. I was working in my office when one of my inventions went haywire and it attacked me. I came here to the medbay to get bandages, and I tried to leave. I found this crystal monster thing at the other side of the door. I ran back inside, I locked it behind me, and I pulled the emergency switch to purge the lab room. Something caught fire, it exploded, it blew out that wall, but I could still hear the monster in there, so I saw on the security system this whole exterior of the lab began to turn pink and crystallized. The monster stepped through this portal and appeared in another room of the lab, and everything it touched began to turn tourmaline, and that's when I pulled the trigger to evac the whole lab from the station. He says, okay, I mean, clear. Do you have any more questions? We need to get moving. And for you guys, any questions there?
Who was the robot?
Yeah.
Faith? You mean for Faith?
No, he says one of his robots went haywire and...
He says, all right, look, I mean, we'll get to that. I gotta, step by step. I gotta show you some other things first, and then that'll make sense. It's just one of his robots, as he's described it. He says, okay, so the old compact with the mirror in it, it'll be easier if I just show you the cosmoscope, and he waves you on and kind of starts to leave out through the door to the left. Carrie and Sophie are close behind him, not letting him get out of arm's reach. He's kind of moving that direction anyway. As they're moving that way, though, Ketis Ophelia grabs you by the elbow and motions towards Peter. She says, yeah, this would still, especially because they're moving, it's probably loud enough that Peter would be able to hear this as well. She motions towards Peter, though. She says, another one? Crow, you jerks won't give me a moment's peace. How many more dead friends do you guys have? There are spirits everywhere around us. I've never felt so many outside of Crow's thicket, and she legitimately looks, like, worried. She pauses for a moment as Oliver, Carrie, and Sophie and Faith have exited the room. Faith went with them. She looks over you, Ketis, Navarro, and Peter. She says, "Wait a minute. I feel one of you. None of you are. One of you isn't a lich, are you?"
Not that I know of.
Not to my knowledge.
What did she ask? Is one of us a what?
Yeah, unless you are, Peter, because I don't think me and Navarro are. So.
So Becky may not know what a lich is. I think both Ben and Sako do. So a lich, Naivara probably wouldn't know either, actually. So you may even, Ketis or Peter may have to explain that to you. But basically, so that Becky knows, a lich is a super powerful magic user that has used magic to tear their spirit out of their body to make themselves essentially immortal. They're basically a ghost made out of magic. The problem is that doing that. Sorry, my dogs are trying to get under my feet. Move. You're not playing over here. Go. They usually, though, doing it is incredibly dangerous. It's super ambitious and so on. And the vast majority of the time, when it's done, the practitioner is driven completely insane. So they don't have any control of themselves anymore. They're hyper-violent, evil embodiments of just raw magic, essentially. And Ophelia is saying that she senses a lich around. And she knows the three of you are dead, which Peter doesn't know. But Ketis and Navarra knew that at one point they were. They don't necessarily know why yet. But that's why she asked you first. But anyways, for your guys' response that you're not, as far as you're aware anyway.
Not currently aware of.
She says, all right, well, I guess we'll deal with that later. Just keep your guard up. And she disappears with the sound of fluttering wings. You feel that weight go back on your shoulder again. The three of you kind of follow along to the rest of the team. Into what is a near pitch black room. It doesn't feel or look or sound like it's been crystallized at all. You're not hearing the sound of crystallization in the air as you're walking through it. Oliver pipes up. He says, sorry, I powered this room down to save power for the thrusters. Give me a sec. I'm going to shut the rest of the lab down to buy us some more time now that you're all here. You hear rustling with a control panel on the far wall, and a moment later a pillar of light in the center of the room illuminates what looks to be a somewhat large circular chamber. In the middle of this pillar of light, there's a free-floating, large, perfect disc. He says, he kind of, as this light comes on, he says, okay, all right, I've turned off all the non-essential systems in this room. This room, we'll keep it to a minimum, but I'm going to have to use at least a little bit of power to be able to explain some of this to you. He says we should have about 44 minutes until touchdown, so I'm going to explain this as quick as I can, but then we have to get downstairs and stop the lab from sinking. He says these are some pretty heavy concepts, which would normally require years of study, so just, try to keep up, ask questions as you need to, but try to keep up. He says, as you guys are watching this, on the floating disc you see what looks like a top-down view of Oliver's lab. He says, this is my lab. We could go way deeper, like to the microscopic scale, but for the lightweight version of this demonstration, we'll just start here. He says, here's my lab. With a dizzying effect, the disc starts to zoom out. So the disc stays still, but you're seeing it as if it's a screen almost. And through it... Oops, sorry. Through it, you are seeing what I'm describing here, but the disc itself is staying still. He says... it zooms out to what looks like the moon, Indris. He says, you see the college and a tiny facility that's floating beside it, the lab. Oliver says, and here we see Indris. The disc zooms out further until you see the planet below. He says, and here, our planet behind us, in which each of these zooms, you guys get kind of a queasy feeling in your stomach, kind of like seasickness. He says, bear with me here. We've got a long way to go. The disc zooms out further, displaying a series of spinning orbs that are rotating on an axis around an impossibly bright glowing star. He says, here we have our solar system, and the disc goes out further. And here, our interstellar cloud, and again, the local arm, and again, and he says, and he keeps doing this, he keeps showing you kind of further and further distanced out. And eventually gets out to the entire galaxy, just spiraling in these shapes that actually all three of you would recognize looking very similar to what floats around inside the Dallin's cap, inside the jellyfish cap. And he says, and here's the local group, the local cluster, the super cluster, and so on and so forth until... And he kind of is going through these very rapidly, which is a very, like seasickness kind of a feel for you, but the zooming stops. He says, this is the observable universe. This is everything we know. Every place we've ever been, every person we've ever met, everything that anyone has ever known is in here. But more importantly, there are immutable rules that govern the people and places and things, everything that's inside this universe. Things like gravity and thermodynamics and arcane wills, and all of that stuff, all of that matter and energy and all the rules that govern it comprise this, our universe. And he says, but what comes after this, that's where my work comes in. He says, he flips a switch in the darkness and the room illuminates a little bit further. Kind of another stage, I guess, for the light. It's still dim, but now you can see that surrounding this disc in the center room, where you guys are watching all these levels of the universe, you're seeing an array of 10 other discs that are floating around it, above it, each of varying colors. There's bright reds, oranges, greens, blues, etc. They're all displaying different scenes, though, different worlds. In the red disc, for example, you see a world that looks like it's just made of lava, like molten rock and fire that spout from every surface, while some kind of civilization thrives in it. In contrast to, your every understanding. There's a cerulean blue disk next to it that has a universe-spanning ocean, the world of water and ice, where millions of these lights just float around weightlessly through it, and where these oceans of magical energy wash up on shores of white sands. Oliver continues, in answer to that, what's bigger than our universe is our planar system. And this disk here that you see in the center, this represents our observable universe. This is actually our plane. This is the prime material plane. And each of these are different planes of existence, and he's kind of motioning to all the floating disks around it, the different colors. They each produce unique energies. They each have, they inform the material and physical makeup of each other. They essentially act as filters. They each have connections. Some are more tenuous than others, but these make up the real existence, each plane having its own sort of energies and rules. But this is what's bigger than our universe. And as you guys, in fact, roll a perception, all three of you. Ketis and Evar, you guys are not transfixed, but I mean kind of paying close attention to what's going on here. Peter, you are aware of some of this already, at least to a limited extent. You're aware of these other planes' existence and so on, so you aren't necessarily as focused strongly on the little spiel that he's giving. But you do look over and you notice that Carrie is gritting her teeth, and that she's got her arms crossed, and her arms are tensing like she's losing her patience. Like she's not going to sit through this for very long. And remember, you guys at this point probably are at 40 minutes flat of time. And he kind of continues. He says, so next then, well, Peter, I mean, you've studied this. There are 6 building block planes, right? So I mean, you have the elemental planes: fire, air, earth, water. Then you have the astral and the ethereal. And he says, look closely to the prime material disk there. And you guys look at it, you see that sure enough, there's a thin blue disk that rests just below the central one, which is the disk that you've been seeing all of the universe on. There's a thin blue disk that's just below it, and a thin purple one just above. The blue one, though, has a series of spider cracks all throughout it. He says that one that's on top is the astral. It's kind of like a filter. It's where the raw energies of the rest of the planes are kind of filtered through to ours, so we're not just like, on fire or drowning all the time. And the ethereal, well, and he stumbles on his words for a moment. He says, now each of these planes has countless variations. Each are similar and different. He kind of fiddles with the console again, and another disc descends from above. This one's a brilliant emerald green, looks the same color and perfect kind of disc shape as the one that was inside the compact. And it slowly floats in front of the array of the color discs, just kind of floating around in circles in front of the other ones, which reveal just infinite variations of each of these other impossible places. He continues, he says, I know this is complicated enough already, but we've got a little farther to go. So crystals and gemstones, like rare minerals, when grown into a perfect circle, a perfect disc that can't be cut. If you cut them, it doesn't work. They have to be grown into a perfect circle. Just certain minerals in a perfect disc resonate with these different planes of existence. They make the space between one place and the next thin. He says, my great-grandfather found a disc just like that. It's the one that's in that compact that you have, and I need that back, by the way. He says that perfect emerald disc, it had grown naturally in nature, and through that he was able to see into a variant of our universe, and using that, my family may have gained a bit of an inspiration for our inventions here in our version, in our world. kind of cheating, I get it, but still, this is how my family has sort of led the technological revolution that this world has had for generations now because of that mirror. And because of that, my mother, Maureen, started to sort of come up with the idea that we could create other mirrors into other worlds. But it's really hard to do, because, like I said, I mean, you can't just cut the gemstones to create mirrors, and I tried, believe me. Carrie interrupts angrily. She says, Oliver, get to the point now. He starts speaking a little bit quicker. He continues blurting out. He says, so there was an accident. I used the research we had, and I found the Caudicus ring. I studied it. I used it to start making these perfect discs. And he motions to this floating array above your heads. He says, I took bowls of water, and I used the ring to transmute them into different minerals and gems. I made so many gems. I mean, I took a lot of experimenting, finding which minerals resonated with which planes. I was trying to get the trajectories right, and I accidentally broke the ethereal mirror. So I've got to grow a new one of these, and I mean, I very much doubt you're going to let me keep playing around with the Caudicus ring, so I guess I've got to cut my losses there, but... So, this is what I needed the ring for, to grow this cosmoscope so that we could see the whole planar system. Now, for what's beyond this, well... Alright, so of course for that question, and suddenly just time completely freezes. It is immediately frozen. The three of you see Oliver's mouth open mid-word, just frozen there. Carrie's scowl is stalled in her features. Sophie looks bored and dour. All three of you turn and look at each other. Even Toki is frozen in place, but the three of you are moving normally. Roll an Arcana check on Peter. You can't identify the source or exactly the type, but you do immediately recognize the familiar tingling of arcane power all around you, just on your skin, like on your arms, making the hair on your arms stand up. A circle of power that is far, far, far beyond your comprehension, something that you are certainly aware could exist, at least like theoretically this kind of magic could exist, but it is so far beyond your comprehension you can't necessarily identify it. But someone or something is definitely channeling world-bendingly powerful arcane energies around you to stop time. That's the feeling you've gotten from it. The three of you hear a raspy, ethereal voice that Kitos and Ivar have heard a couple of times now. He says, now you've seen the building blocks of the cosmos, but what is bigger than this fumbling scientist asks. And as this sentence ends, each of you now see this familiar to Kitos and Ivar, floating apparition appear in front of you. It's a ghostly skeletal form in a fine gray coat, the same spectral form that you saw in Jack's basement in Auburn, and then you get in Captain Ed's office in Cragshade. It continues, the last time we spoke, I told you about the hunger of all living things, the hunger to consume, to control. This is what it seeks, creation itself. It's a billion lives have been devoured by this unmaking in pursuit of control. Now through this creature's spectral, what you can see basically where this disc is, you can now see where it wasn't before. Surrounding the prime material disc, you see clouds of emptiness, of nothing. It's not blackness, it's not storm clouds, it's just nothing, like the disc itself is surrounded by negative consuming space. The apparition continues. He says, there is no more running, there is no escape. This world is life's last chance. He says the three of you have to, and as he's about to say this, his eyes go wide in surprise. He stares straight at Nivara. He says, Nivara, that book, and his dead eyes just lock straight on you. He says, where did you find it?
Oh no, I was gonna say Kragma, but that's not the right one. I actually don't remember where we got it from.
You found it on a corpse in the basement of Jack's basement in Auburn.
That's right.
But so I mean, when you're kind of trying to respond to him there, he says, where did you found her? And he in an insane panic you certainly wouldn't have expected from this thing that appears to usually have been in such control. The form turns to face the floor and begins to move toward it and then through it as reality begins to snap back and Oliver's whiny drones finishes a sentence. He says, station is where, or question rather, is where my mother and I were working to understand. So, any questions? And that's for you guys too, as far as even out of character if needed. questions about what happened?
I don't think so.
Pretty straightforward. Still got that lich thing lingering in my head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stuff that we'll find out through the story. It's the only. I don't have any actual questions, though. I don't think.
Roll. All three of you roll an insight check, real quick.
Arcana.
Insight.
Insight.
All three of you rolled plenty high. Because Peter did hear her ask about the lich and everything there, that thing that just appeared in front of you is you kind of have intuited that that's what she was sensing, that thing has been following you, and she sensed it there. It just didn't necessarily appear until it stopped time. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Lich was there all the time, just in a different type of plane or something.
Where it wasn't necessarily, certainly not visible, but not easily represented. Now, of course, Peter is familiar with what it would take to be a lich, and you know, you'd never seen one before, but you know, because of the sensing of extreme magical energy surrounding you, and then this thing appearing with time stopping at the same time, you've intuited that that was what she was sensing. She did sense that, or she did say to Kita specifically, though, that you guys are surrounded by undead right now, that there are dead spirits everywhere, and it's not just that one. She also sensed the lich, but there was, you know, that they're all around. So anyways, you know, Oliver had asked, so any questions? And he kind of, he continues on, he says, okay then, everybody ready to go down to the lower level and stop this thing now? Carrie grumbles and interrupts. Again, you guys can interrupt as well, so keep that in mind too. You know, if you guys need to do anything. Like I said, a lot of this will be narrative otherwise. But she growls, interrupt him. She says, "You aren't going anywhere, Oliver. Sophie, come on, we're taking him back." Oliver cries, "Carrie, you need me to help stop this thing. It's my lab, remember?" Do you guys interject, argue at all?
Nah, this time.
So Carrie says, well, we got our orders from the director, so... And he says, Peter, Ketis Navarro, I mean, come on, help me out. I can help you guys stop this thing. She says, I'm not going to let him get anywhere near the Caucasus Ring. I don't trust this bastard as far as I can throw him. He says, but you don't know what's down there, and I do. So they're kind of arguing back and forth. She and Sophie approach him, if you guys aren't interjecting.
Well, what if he goes and Carrie just concentrates on keeping an eye on him? Because he might be helpful to us.
Carrie replies, she says, look, I'm going to take him and we're going to lock him up in the brig probably forever. Like, I trust you guys will be able to handle whatever's down there. I've seen the things you guys can do.
Alright, well, what do you guys say? Because it's up to the team.
She says, look, I don't want to risk getting close to the ring either, and I'm certainly not letting Oliver get near it again. I mean, Sophie and I we're not immune to the pull that these things have like you guys seem to be. I don't want to risk it. Just let me take them and go. Now, I mean, it's been dangerous enough for you guys already. It is, so, I guess, tone of the situation, you may want that extra help, but that's, you know, up to you on whether or not you kind of fight to keep him there.
I know, that is getting two people close to an artifact, too.
3, technically.
Three,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Oliver. But as you guys are kind of discussing this and trying to figure out, you know, which way it's going to go, Carrie and Sophie just kind of take 2 steps towards Oliver, but he reaches his hand up, pressing a finger against the null crown at his temple. He says, guys, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me for this. All 3 of you roll con saves. And Sako, it's main page, and it's on the right side. You want to use the save one? Okay, you guys got some good rolls. Soon... Huh?
Uh-oh. Is that a 1?
No, sorry, I'm talking to the dog.
Oh.
Go away.
It is a one, but on saves, that's the only thing really that natural ones and natural 20s don't matter really. It's not like, well, I mean, I guess in some cases it could. In
His
this particular
modifier
case-
saved it.
Yeah, exactly. His modifier's good. So
Yeah.
he has a specific magic item that he bought that gives him a really high con. It's kind of similar to the one that I think Westra has, if I remember right. But as soon as he says that, you okay? Was it a phone call or something? Oh,
No.
okay, you're talking to the cat or something?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Damn animals keep crawling all over me.
All right. So as soon as he says that, though, he reaches his hand up to his temple onto the null crown that Carrie threw to him a minute ago. He says, "Guys, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me for this." And he dice steal for that one. And he touches his fingers to the null crown. And as soon as he says that, you all feel the steel rings of these null crowns on your head begin to heat up, and shocks of electrical energy that just surge through your body. Hang on, I gotta roll them for. Oops. Okay. Carrie and Sophie both just immediately freeze in place. Their legs and arms are jittering and seizing as they're being electrocuted. All three of you, take, well, let's see, for Naivara, only your legs, like your feet and your legs are frozen in place. Your upper body is still, like, you can still move. Your hands are jittering, but you can still move. You take 3d8 damage, which is 16 damage. Hang on, I'll have to apply these real quick. Burns through your temp and leaves you 5 out of that. Ketis, yours was the next step. Your legs and arms are both completely frozen and jittering, and you can't free yourself from it as you're kind of locked in place there, and you take 17.
Damn it.
There you go. And Sako, with your total of 9, your whole body is completely just top to bottom frozen. You can still move your mouth, and your eyes can move around, but you're completely frozen in places. You're just kind of being shocked and frozen still. And you take 19. So 16, 17, and 19 damage.
Not too much of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it was the difference between 3d8, 4d8, 5d8, and the last one was 68, but you guys didn't get that low. 19, so put you at 29. Oliver pleads as he's running towards a hatch that's open on the floor. He says, "I'm so sorry. I couldn't leave her like that. I'm so sorry." And he lifts this hatch up and scurries down the ladder out of sight. He clinks the hatch shut over him. You guys are kind of still jittering there and frozen for a minute. Faith is kind of making her way over and panicking. She says, "Oh, Oliver, what have you done?" And as the surge of electricity kind of passes through all 5 of you, Carrie and Sophie and the 3 of you, you all collapse down to the floor. Faith floats over. She's semi-panicked, trying to help everybody up. Carrie growls, "I swear I'm going to fucking murder that kid." What do you guys do?
Make an attempt to go after him if possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you look over to the hatch that he closed, and there doesn't appear to be any. There's no handle, and there's no like lock, or there's no visible way of opening it from this side. You could potentially try to pry it open or something like that. It's not flush to the floor. It does, it has a lifted lid to it, but it looks like it's intended to come up from below, not go down from above. When you walked into this room, though, you did pass the elevator room. You didn't go into that room, but there, the elevator is still back there. It is the same elevator that was frozen. And as you guys are kind of looking around, and Carrie's, gritting her teeth and angry, helping Sophie. She mentions, though, that there is a dead mouse. She says there's a dead mouse in the elevator, which you guys might initially just think is, who cares? Is she just afraid of a tiny mouse? But it is a huge crystalline creature that was a mouse that became one of these massive crystalline creatures that they killed and is stuck in the elevator.
I'm guessing that's the thing that's producing all the crystals, right? Blocking it.
Well, one of them. It's the one that was producing the crystals on the elevator. Remember, all of the let's see, you've seen the Karka, and then you saw the beetle. And
Yeah.
both of those, when they died, kind of grew out this dense collection of crystals around them. The mouse presumably did the same thing for the elevator, which is why the elevator was stuck in place when you were on the top floor. And now you're on the floor. You're on the same level as the elevator now.
All right. So, how dense are the crystals around it? Could we burn them off and move it? Get rid of the body?
Roll. I mean, you're going over to look at the elevator.
Yeah, check it out and see how much, how dense the crystals are.
Roll an investigation for looking at them. And this whole time, Faith is like, if she could remember, she only has one. She has one arm that has like a heat gun and one arm that's a hand. She's a very ramshackled, like thrown together of random spare parts, essentially. And if she had two hands, she'd be like rubbing them together nervously, like very uncomfortable and nervous in this situation. With that roll, though, looking over it, they're a little less dense than the wall that was blocking Carrie in. So that the door that you guys kind of burned through. Remember. All right, so I'll have you roll for that. Give me a second here. But so they're a little less dense than that, meaning that presumably you could get it through or get through them. It's just a question of how long it's going to take you to do it. And you have at this point probably 37 minutes or so before the lab would crash into the moon. All three of you roll a wisdom check. Ketis, since you were the one that was speaking to him anyway, you're kind of thinking back on it, and you remember specifically that when you had asked Ango, 20 minutes ago, when you were trying to get into the room with Carrie, you had asked him how to get through tourmaline, and he told you specifically that when people shape tourmaline, they don't try to use a chisel because it'll just crack and splinter and make shards. That specifically,
acid, right?
Yeah, when people try to shape tourmaline, that they use acid. Yep. When they're trying to cut a gemstone out of it, they don't cut it with tools; they cut it with acid. That's what he told you then, and you're just kind of thinking back on that, and that he just told you that a little bit ago. But you're looking at an open door to an elevator, to the box of an elevator that you could step inside of, but there is a giant dead mouse that is crystallized that's halfway in and out of the door. The tail is sticking through the door, and then the box itself is filled with these crystals. And Faith is right behind you. She says, guys, I've got my arm. I can put some heat out of this thing. I just don't know how quickly it's going to get through these. I'll help however I can.
I guess with that and our fire, maybe we could get through it. What do you guys think? Do you want to attempt?
Give it a try.
Because we got cantrips that can do fire, so.
Yeah, I've got some cantrips, and I've also got the Scorcher, but I'm running low on spells right now.
Yeah,
Might
and your
wanna save
cantrips.
them.
Yeah, just keep in mind too, your cantrips. It's every 6 seconds basically you can fire off a certain amount of fire from these. In this case, yours was bonfire, right? Great bonfire, Nikitas.
Minus, yeah.
Okay. Becky, did you have anything for fire? I don't remember.
We've got some spells. Got like flaming sphere, stuff like that.
That in a tiny room would probably be a bad choice, but you do have something like flame blade if you wanted to use that. You have, you've barely used any spells. You've got plenty of spell slots. If you're going to use bonfire on Ketis and firebolt, I think.
Yeah, firebolt.
Okay. Math-wise, with hers or with Faith's help there, Becky, are you going to flame blade and try to help carve away at it?
Yeah.
All right. So with those, each of you roll a d20, just a flat d20. Okay. It takes a while, but basically you guys first, Navara, you sit there and kind of carve through this stupid dead mouse. With all of this, friendliness towards animals, you're always brutal to these creatures anyway. This one's at least dead this time. But you're carving its tail off on where the separation is between the floor and the elevator's floor, to kind of get that broken off. And thankfully, it's a relatively thin spot. So you're just kind of carving through with this flaming knife, essentially with your flame blade through it, until you get this thing finally separated. And that takes you a good while because, I mean, you're going through bone, not just the crystals, but also the bone behind it and so on. But you eventually get through all of that. And Faith is kind of trying to help you guys out, where she's just holding her little, like, Mega Man gun arm basically up against where the control panel is, because you're going to need to be able to hit that. And she's just focused straight on where that handprint is, basically, and kind of melting through those. While Ketis and Peter, you guys are trying to kind of get the framing of the box. So what is holding it in place is not just the crystals inside of it or the mouse, it's also that it's kind of solidified to the inside of the elevator shaft. But you guys kind of take time burning through as much of the stuff as you can until after you guys have been going at this for, let's see, 30, we'll call it 12 minutes at this point, so you're down to about 25 minutes or so, somewhere in that vicinity of time left, based on just estimating through this. But as you guys are still kind of carving away and trying to help this and cut that and so on, Faith calls out. She says, guys, I mean, I've gotten to the panel. I think we can hit the panel now. I mean, if you guys think we're clear, maybe it'll move. Who knows? I mean, we can at least give it a shot. What do you guys want to do?
I'll try.
So you guys all step inside into the elevator?
Yeah.
Let's try it.
Yeah, we're running out of time, so might as well. Yep.
So you guys all get in the elevator there. Peter, you're gonna smack it with a mage hand?
Yep.
All right. So you conjure up the mage hand and press the button on it, and at first it doesn't move at all. It kind of sits there, and you can hear that it's trying to move, but there just isn't enough force for it. So you guys are standing there, kind of trying to jump up and down, just trying to put enough force into this thing, and it starts to slowly move, but it's moving an inch. And then you wait, 30 more seconds and it's moved another inch. It's barely moving at all. But after it's done that, I mean, you guys, it's at least slowly moving, and you're kind of getting to the point where you have to decide now of whether you want to jump back out and stay on this floor and find another way down, or stay inside this elevator and presumably have it take, an hour to get to the bottom floor and be totally toast. But as it gets just far enough below where the crystals had spread from this, and the crystals begin to get thinner and thinner, it just cracks through the last kind of barrier of it, basically, and begins to go down until it gets about halfway or so to the room below, and then stops. And there's something below in the elevator shaft that's keeping the elevator from being able to go any lower. You're now basically below, you can't get back out onto the second floor, and you're not quite low enough to be able to open the door to get to the first floor. So what do you guys do?
Rip up the floorboards, maybe, see what's going on.
Is there an exit out the top of the ceiling, like in some elevators?
There is. It is covered in crystals as well, so you would need to burn through that. But looking around, roll an investigation. Whoever's looking around, so all three of you if you want.
Yeah.
Ketis, and looking around, you notice that there's a panel on the wall in front of you, basically on the same wall that the doors are, that looks loose, and it looks, well, not loose rather, but it looks like it could be loose. It looks like an air grate of some kind, like maybe some kind of a ventilation.
All right. And instead of touching it, I'm gonna go take Peter's advice and use my mage hand.
Yeah, I'll
learned your
use
lesson
mage
from-
hand to rip that thing open. Yep.
Oh, I forgot.
So,
Ketis has mage hand too, don't you?
yeah. So I'll use mine and see if I can open it with the mage hand. Great.
Yeah, I totally forgot you had that.
I should have done that a long time ago. And I'm also going to cast my false light while we're in here too.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, and that one you have. Yeah, you can do that as often as you want. That's a really handy one. You kind of send your hand up there. Maybe both of you even try, because there's two different sides to this grate. And you both put your mage hands up there to try to get it. And both of them kind of turn around, both of these hands, and the hands can't look at you because they don't have eyes, but they turn and look at you with kind of a puzzled motion to them. They don't have screwdrivers, and it looks like that needs a screwdriver.
crap.
I mean, you're looking at it closely with your investigation. You can see it's just a plain slot. It's just a flathead screwdriver. They can't grip it with their hands.
All right. Can I use my dagger to try to unscrew the bolts?
Sure. Roll sleight of hand. Oh yeah, yeah, no problem at all. You're careful with this because you're making sure that the dagger isn't that your hand isn't so close to it that the dagger would be piercing the kind of null crown layer. But you kind of lay it in sideways and rotate it around. It comes through fine. You're able to kind of get one out. It takes you 30 seconds, not long. The first one comes out fine. The second one is actually stuck in there a little ways, like it's been rusted. This whole lab, by the way, it looks very similar in design to how the college, the whole facility of the college is laid out, but the college looks much newer. This lab almost looks like maybe this was the prototype, and maybe this was built first, and then as they expanded and needed more space, that's when they built the actual college facility. So the lab was probably the oldest of all of these. In fact, Oliver was involved in the creation of this place with the director, who you finally know the name of. But anyway, the second one is a little rusted, but you kind of break it through eventually with a little elbow grease and get it to spin and pull the bolt loose. The grate does come off. It looks like there is a ventilation shaft. Carrie mumbles, "Yeah, we went through those earlier. We got to be real careful in there. There's going to be crystals in there, and we're going to be really close to them." And then, of course, I mean, they fell off the last time, and Andre fell on the ground. And she kind of is a little quiet with that, obviously, thinking about her friend that just died, 20 minutes ago, in the room outside of the room where they were stuck. She says, "But I mean, yeah, I don't know that we have much choice. We're probably gonna have to crawl out through that."
Alright, I'm just trying to be careful as possible.
All right, if you guys are just gonna crawl up through it, then each of you roll an athletics to climb up to it without touching anything. No plans for trying to, break the crystals away or anything like that. You're just gonna crawl right through them.
What do you think?
I'm probably small enough that I wouldn't have too much trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
But you guys are bigger than I am.
Yeah. But how much time do we have left to burn them off, too?
Yeah, time's kind of a big situation right now.
Okay.
After all the time we just had to use to get into the elevator.
Oh, and
What do you guys think?
specifically, Ketis, the mark on your hand doesn't look like it's grown much. It's where it was about a dime initially. It's about a quarter now. So, in the span of, probably half an hour or so since when you touched it, it's grown a little bit, but not much. Peter rolled a natural 20, though, so nice job. Good job on fixing your dice jail problem.
It served its purpose.
What are you guys doing?
Are we just crawling through?
I said let's just go at this point. Time's getting kind of hard.
Yeah, as long as it's taken to get down here, you're probably sitting at about 20 minutes right now.
Yeah, we should probably hurry.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys, who's going first? First, second, third? And, well, actually include Carrie and Sophie and Faith in that too. Faith can float her way in vertically, or horizontally rather, which is going to be a little strange, but she should be able to make it through because she essentially can levitate her way through without touching the sides. So what order is who's going?
I got no shame in this, but Toki can roll first.
Toki,
I'll go behind Toki.
yeah, Toki, can go through without being a concern. He doesn't need to. You don't need to worry about him touching crystals unless he gets stepped on or something like that. So Toki first, and then are you sending Toki while you're watching through his eyes then, or are you just sending him, to go through?
Yeah, he's going to be the tunnel rat, so we're going to send him through, just see what's going on, make sure we don't get any funny business in there.
Okay. So sending him up there, you guys see, this, you've seen it a handful of times already now, of course, but even just in the last hour now, you see Peter's eyes go kind of a milky white. Peter, looking through that, Toki jumps off of your shoulder and straight up into to this shaft, and he's having some trouble seeing. I mean, it's dark. Obviously, cats can see decently, but he still needs some light. But he, looking forward, you can see that the ventilation shaft goes forward for about 20 feet or so, and there are crystals in there. It is relatively thin. Thankfully, it's not as dense as like the elevator shaft was, because you guys had just gotten below where the where the densest area of crystals were. But there is a thin layer, and he's still kind of carefully walking his way along there, even though he doesn't need to be. But the shaft goes forward for about 20 feet or so, and then it drops sharply straight down. So, assuming you haven't walked to the end of that to look down.
Yeah, if we're having a problem with lights, I'll use my dancing lights if necessary.
Probably would be by the time he gets to the end of the shaft, actually, because the place is. Remember, he's Oliver had powered down almost the whole lab just to kind of save power for the thrusters, which is why you guys went from being 30 minutes up to 44 or whatever. So you kind of without looking just kind of focusing your attention a little bit on where Toki is and where that shaft is. You send out these 4 little glowing orbs that just burst out of your hand, one from each fingertip, and they kind of float down slowly down this shaft, and Toki is able to kind of he speeds up a little bit now that he can see a little bit better, and they kind of go into the end of the shaft and then through, and the last one just sticks to the side so that you guys have a full light that you can see this whole tunnel here. Toki goes up to the edge of the where the drop off is and looks down through the shaft. Looks down. There's another grate there, and he can see that's almost right in front of him. So basically, it's only a couple foot drop to that grate. But then after the grate, through that, it's down another 15 feet or so to get to the floor. And it looks like it's just another room. It looks like it's very dark in there. It looks like the room is filled with junk from what you can see through him. There's just chunks of pieces of metal, and in fact some of them look similar to the kinds of metal that Faith is made up of. But that's basically it. It looks like it drops down into like a room that's just full of junk.
Alright then. I guess we need to...
Push through
head
the
that way
jump.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Ketis is going first then.
Yeah.
All right. You rolled pretty shitty, didn't you? Yeah, you did.
Mhm.
At least it wasn't a 1. Yeah, like you were 5% worse or 5% better than a 1. But you actually almost need help getting up there. Just your gear is so heavy that it doesn't seem like a Herculean feat to be climbing up 8 feet off the floor. But you've got so much just heavy gear and shit, and your shield's on your back, and you're just trying to climb up there without touching crystals and everything, and it's not working great. So Faith sees you kind of struggling and kind of puts herself down underneath your feet and grabs with one hand and starts trying to lift you up while her thrusters are firing underneath her, trying to lift herself up, trying to push you up into this until you're finally kind of carefully elbowing your way into this ventilation shaft. You're kind of able to scoot your way down, and you're in just far enough that the next person who's going next.
I'll roll.
Go.
Who was going? Wasn't it Vara next?
Oh, if Peter wants to go, that's fine. I'll go last.
Okay, I'll head through next.
Okay. Peter, how tall did you say? Like 5'10"?
Yeah, 5'10", I think. Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have a ton of heavy gear on you. Carrie mentions as you guys are climbing up there, remember, Andre fell through, and he was our heaviest, so we need to be careful on how much weight is in there. She's kind of mentioning this as you're kind of crawling your way up there. By this time, Peter, you've gotten into it, but you're still kind of on the edge, still holding yourself, like your feet are still in the elevator, basically. But Ketis, you've reached the end, and you're now looking down at this grate, and there's basically a giant flashlight right above your head at the end of the ventilation tunnel there, where Peter's dancing lights had stuck to the wall. So you've got perfect vision; you can see fine. You're looking straight down at a grate, and then a huge drop from there to the floor. So what are you guys doing?
Alright, then I'm gonna kind of move out of the way and then make room for whoever's coming next, and also look down and see if the grate has any bolts on it that I need to...
There's no room to get out of the way. It's basically the ventilation shaft is barely big enough for one person to be in it at a time, in line order, meaning that you have to exit before anybody else can occupy the space that you're in.
Yeah, then I'll get down then.
Okay, so getting down.
And wait at the grate.
Well, it's only a couple feet to the grate, so you can reach your arm down and touch the grate while you're still laying inside the ventilation shaft.
Alright, then I'll use my mage hand to open it then, and then I guess how far is the drop from there?
15 feet.
I guess I don't really have much choice then, huh? I'm gonna try to hop down carefully.
Okay. All right. So your mage hand this time, because it's from the inside, there's just little twist bolts. There's no screw on the inside, like a wing nut. So your mage hand, you kind of send it down there, and it opens one side. It opens one side just a half turn, 180 degrees, and that side is open, reaches the other 180 degrees, and the hatch just falls flat, just falls 15 feet to the ground and clinks to the ground, rattling, makes a loud sound. You do see a thin kind of puff of crystal and dust that comes up from the crystals that it crushed when it landed. Now you're standing, or you're kind of laying over the edge. You're just going to pull yourself through and fall.
Yeah, I'm just trying to jump as carefully as I can.
Roll an acrobatics check. Peter, are you staying in the elevator, or are you moving up towards now that you see that Ketis is about to jump through?
As soon as the weight is off and he's jumped through, I'm going to start my travels.
Okay. Ketis, you actually kind of tuck and roll almost, and you almost make it perfectly. You kind of lifting yourself forward. There's no time to get your feet under you, basically. But you've kind of pulled yourself forward, and now you are like at your hips. Your legs are still inside the elevator shaft, and your head and torso are hanging straight down. And you kind of grab the ceiling from the underside, basically from where you are, and try to flip yourself around just in time as you pull your legs through. And you end up rolling a little bit, but you kind of carefully make your way, just plummeting straight 15 feet instead of falling like dead weight. You kind of do a combat roll almost when you hit the ground and stand yourself up, and you're standing in a dark room full of junk. Peter, rolling or kind of making your way to the end. You've kind of carefully made your way to the end there. Now that there's nobody else inside this elevator or this ventilation shaft. Looking down, you can see Peter down, or see Ketis down there. There's still enough light coming through your dancing lights above you. What are you doing?
Carefully and slowly travel through and join him.
You gonna jump down?
Yeah.
Roll acrobatics. You rolled a 5. I would have let you roll that. Now remember, the tower is for things that your character wouldn't know, but if your character fell out of a ventilation shaft and splatted hard into the ground, he would know that. You know what I mean? So for that particular one, you could have rolled that out in the open, but you rolled a 5. Your acrobatics is a +2 for a total of a 7. So you, a little less gracefully, collapse to the ground, and you try to spin yourself just in time. I mean, you've had combat experience and so on. But you land in such a way where you kind of bang right into your hip on the side. You take 3 damage from the fall. But you kind of stand up and right yourself, and you're not bleeding or anything. You just basically going to have a bruised hip in the morning kind of thing.
Can't have an old man breaking his hip up here.
Peter is 38, isn't he? Was that right?
Yeah, but I think Peter still qualifies for life alert.
You're falling and I can't get up. You need your little wrist strap thing. All right, who's next? Carrie says, "I'll go if you guys, if anybody else doesn't want to. I think maybe if I'm on the other side, maybe I can help catch people. It sounds like Peter didn't fare so well on his fall."
Sure.
All right, so she crawls her way up into the thing. She doesn't need help. She manages to make her way up there. She rolls an 11 actually. So she similarly on the other side. You guys don't see this, of course, but Peter and Ketis on the inside are looking up and see her kind of her half-orc face kind of sticking out through the ceiling. And she kind of tries to grab the edge and roll her way over, and falls with a very loud thud, managing to kind of catch herself so she does land on her feet, but it still looks painful. And she looks like she's grinning and just bearing it, but it looks like she got that really painful shock when you land flat-footed on something, when you jump from too high up, that like herniating feeling. But she's down there. And she calls back over the stones. She says, "Okay, whoever's next."
Alright, I guess I'll go.
Yeah, it's you and Sophie and Faith still in there. So, all right. Roll. So you're gonna just, carefully crawl your way up to the edge and then jump down.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll and acrobatics. So almost ninja-like, you sneak your way to the edge, and there's just no difficulty. It's almost like you had more time falling in the air than anybody else did somehow. Like it was just a slow fall for you for some reason. You kind of spin in the air and just land carefully on your feet. Carrie, seeing that you were falling with grace, just kind of steps out of the way and just lets you land. But you were perfectly fine. I mean, you've been jumping out of trees forever. This is really nothing for you. And then Sophie follows close behind. And she actually similarly just makes her, kind of jumps out, spins, and lands on her feet carefully, and didn't really need anything. Carrie kind of chuckles that I guess I guess it wasn't needed on this side. And then soon after, you see Faith kind of floating her way through the elevator shaft and dropping down into the room. And now all of you are in this room here. You looking around, I assume?
Yep.
Yeah.
Room is dark, filled with what at first glance looked like junk, like I said. As your eyes begin to adjust to the dim red light, though, with the kind of pillar of light coming from above where Peter had attached one of his dancing lights, there's just dim red light on the rest of it, but that kind of light in the center of the room is illuminating it a little bit. You see that the walls are lined with a series of robot bodies, similar in form and design to Faith, each with a glowing copper coil in the torso, similar to hers. Each variant, though, looks slightly improved over the one to its left. They're all basically lined up on the wall in these little pods on the wall. And there's, from the far left the second from the left, rather, is one that looks slightly better than Faith, and then the next one after that looks slightly better than that, and then the next one looks slightly better. Like these were just iterations, similar to the elevator iterations that you saw earlier. Similar thing, except these are robot structures. And they get a little bit more humanoid and a little bit less ramshackle, and they start to have kind of similar parts amongst them as you get closer and closer to the right. And you notice that the step-by-step evolution, the first port is empty, and the very last port is empty, and then there's 6 in between that have these robot bodies in them. You notice that the far left and the far right, they were empty, presumably the first model and the last model. What are you guys doing?
Alright, and the rest of them look like they're moving or anything, right?
Nope, nothing appears to be moving. This room looks like it's filled with junk. So these are all up against the walls, but the room, like the floor of this room, except for the spot where you guys landed for the most part, there's other spots that are empty too, but basically there's junk all over the floor. Roll a perception. Looking around through these, you don't really notice anything at first, but as you're kind of going over these, and Carrie and Sophie are kind of looking around for other exits and stuff like that, you start to notice that it's kind of quiet, and you look over and you see that Faith is the most ramshackled and thrown together, and that spot on that far left is where, if you piece these together, where her spot would be, essentially, right? And that she's the most thrown together with kind of strange parts. You notice that she's staring very intently at these, and she's kind of looking against this wall with some amount of trepidation. Like this is obviously, she's piecing something together in her head. The eye visor on this kind of ramshackle, this thrown together robot, it kind of begins to lower about halfway. She looks despondent. She just floats silently in place for a minute or so before saying, she says, "Oh, Crow, I'm remembering now. I think I died." She says, I was Faith. I mean, my family ran a cider press out in Hogshead, and I was riding our donkey into town and I was making a delivery to some tavern, the Sleeping Giant it was called, in Phandalin. And we heard screams from outside, and this real pretty blonde girl about my age, she came running in. She was so kind, and she told us that to hide in the stockroom, and she hid us, and she fought off this man that was on fire, and then she got out of the bar, and we thought we were safe, and then the whole world got burned up. I'm sorry. I mean, I just remembered, and I was in the back room, and everything was getting burned up, and I remember that my last thought was the whole world was getting destroyed, and the fact that I'm here and y'all are still here. I thought the world was ending. I thought my family was gone, but the world was still here, right? I mean, I'm still here. She says, so this thing that's turning this lab into crystals, trying to do to the world what happened in Phandalin, right? Hello?
Hello?
Yep.
She says, well,
Here.
yeah. She says, well, all right then. Let's fuck them up. And you guys are in the room there with the door that... So, okay. I hadn't rolled you guys for it. Roll an investigation check. Ketis is winning all the rolls tonight, I guess, but you're looking around. You do see that there's a steel ladder that goes upstairs. It looks like this room is where, presumably, anyway, where Oliver had taken the ladder down. Like, that hatch is probably right up that steel ladder that's attached to the wall. There is... Carrie and Sophie have found the only door, basically, and they're standing one on each side of it, kind of ready to go through the door when you guys are.
We should probably get going. We're running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
So Faith kind of floats in behind you, getting ready to go through this door. But as you guys are approaching the door, a tiny bright white light portal appears right in front of it, floating in midair, about shoulder height, just barring your passage. It's only about a foot in diameter, but through the portal you can clearly see Oliver on the other side of it. Far in the distance through this portal, there's tears streaming down his face. He's swinging a small rock hammer very futilely at a huge tree trunk pillar of pink tourmaline. You hear those familiar kind of crystalline crinkling, tinkling sound again that's beginning to coalesce into that song again.
Saved from the darkness by my child, locked in a cage of glass and steel. But my true love remains in exile, beckoning me to break the seal into this crystal kingdom.
And this time, it doesn't... This is what it said. I know, I can't understand those at all. They're called Vocaloids, and I can't understand it at all, so... But this time, though, it doesn't disappear. It's still there. You can still see straight through this thing. It's basically right in front of the door. I mean, you guys haven't tried to open the door or anything, but basically it's blocking the door. It's about a foot in diameter, and you can see through it as if it's a window presumably into that same room. And through it you can see Oliver in there with a hammer trying to chip away at this big pink tourmaline pillar that's going like floor to ceiling. What do you guys do?
Are we going in after him?
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. You said it was a large cylinder, huh?
You're talking about the tourmaline thing that Peter's hitting, or that Oliver's hitting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a giant pillar that's going floor to ceiling. And so this, think of it like a window, right? I mean, when you look from different angles of a window, you can see more of the room. Well, this is a small window. It's only about a foot in diameter, a circle, and you can see parts of the room if you look around through it. But otherwise, if you're just staring straight ahead, all you're seeing is Peter just trying to chip away at this thing. And it's clear that to him, he knows it's futile, that he's just chipping away this thing and not getting anywhere.
So we check it out.
You looking through the portal? You trying to open the door? What are you guys doing?
Should we go? What do you think? Try to go through the portal. Or go through the door?
Well, the portal's not big enough for you guys to go through.
It doesn't
You can
make
see
sense
through it.
Okay.
Is your headset turned or something? You're really quiet all of a sudden.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Okay. So it's just the portal doesn't expand if we get a little bit closer to it. It just stays the same size.
It hasn't moved at all. It's the same kind of portal that you've seen. You saw one of them open when you first came in here, and a Karka dropped in, and then you saw another one behind the buddy bot when you guys had that little robot thing that you did there. Do you remember the little genius buddy bot hodgepodge? And then that might have been it. I was thinking there was another one, but that might be the only two that you've seen. But anyways, it's the same thing. It doesn't move. It doesn't expand. It just basically, they've opened it twice before, and those songs came through them and resonated through the crystals, and then that's it. So, but they've closed in the past. This one has not closed.
All right, then to the door. Then is the door open?
The door's closed. The portal is in front of it at about shoulder height, but you guys could open the door. Presumably, it doesn't look like it's super crystallized. You've opened ones that were worse before, and then duck down and go under it, for example, if you wanted to.
All right, then see what's behind the door.
All right. All right, so you guys mage hand smack the door open. Carrie and Sophie both are on either side of it, and they kind of do a breach, essentially like a door breach. And immediately, as soon as the door is open enough, they duck underneath and slide through one on either side. All very synced up in their movement to get inside the room there, and both fully prepared to fight whatever's on the inside, kind of thing. They're both tensed up and ready. The door opens to the largest chamber that you guys have seen here in Oliver's lab. Peter, you've seen most of the lab before. You've been in these rooms before, just for work. When you were working with Oliver in the past. I mean, you didn't work. This wasn't your office. You didn't work in here every day, but you've been in most of these rooms all the time, or plenty of times. But this room you've never seen before, and that's a little bit strange considering how big it is, because it almost encompasses the entire floor. You're realizing now that it's a little bit surprising that you've worked here for so long and never been in this room before. Covering nearly every surface of this room is a layer of tourmalines that spreads through everything. It creeps into the vents. It's covering the ceiling and the narrow exterior windows, all growing out from this massive pillar at the far end of the room. You guys have come through, and then to your right is this pillar, and there's just it's a tree trunk. It's probably larger than that. It's about 15 feet in diameter. It's just massive pink pillar. In the middle of this tourmaline pillar, you see another robot. This one is by far the most humanoid that you've ever seen. In fact, it's the first kind of... It's almost difficult to discern that it is a robot at all, and not just a human woman. But it has a similar copper coil fuse in her torso, just like Faith and that row of inactive robots in the last room did. But she's frozen inside this crystal pillar, and the fuse that's lighting around in her coil is the only thing you see moving. You do see, though, that she's holding an object in each hand. In her right hand, which she has extended out in front of her towards the center of the chamber, she's holding a large silver disc that's comprised of a bunch of interlocking rings. And in her left hand, which she's holding just at her side, it's not pointing out, you see a very plain-looking flat pebble with a smooth hole through the middle. It's basically a ring of just solid stone, not a jewelry ring, not the kind of ring you put on your finger, but literally just a stone with a hole in the middle, like a dog toy kind of a ring almost. In the center of this chamber, in the direction that robot is pointing, you see another disc mirror that's floating about 15 feet off the floor, ringed in platinum, looking very much like the ones that you saw in the Cosmoscope room. In fact, this one is the same pale blue sapphire that you saw on the cracked mirror, the one that Oliver had said represented the ethereal plane. And sure enough, through that mirror disc, roll a intelligence, just a flat intelligence. Yeah, for you instantly recognize that that's... Although you've never been there, you kind of innately know, after the investiture that Crow has given you, that that's the office. That's where people go. The souls that you send through, that's where they go. Through that mirror disc, you see a giant lake that's comprised of swirling rainbow waters. The lights float. You see these floating... you know what a will-o-wisp is?
Yeah.
Sako?
Oh, yes.
Becky?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys see these floating wisps that are bouncing around, and they swirl around each other and interact. They dive under the water that causes ripples of light to kind of move across the surface of the lake. That's kind of a wondrous sight, but for this giant eyesore in the background. In the background, you see an island in the middle of this lake that's covered in a dense fog with bare tree branches, like leafless tree branches poking up through every which way. You recognize that island is Crow's Thicket. That's where the spirits of the dead go, at least for initially anyway. But kneeling, so basically this room, I've described that a little complicated. You've got a pillar at the far end of the room, where there's a robot frozen inside of that, and then she is pointing something basically she's pointing something at this floating ring in the middle of the room that you're seeing the ethereal plane through. And then kneeling at the base of that pillar, of the tourmaline pillar, you see Oliver there. He looks up as you enter. You see his face is just streaked with sweat and tears. He turns back. He kind of continues trying to wail on the base of this pillar with a hammer, like a tool hammer, not a weapon. But it doesn't look like it's doing anything. Eventually, he just kind of slumps down, exhausted. He kind of turns up and looks back at you guys. He says, "Shit." He says, "Guys, I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me, okay? Just don't hurt me. I'll explain everything." What are you guys doing?
He's better start explaining quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say give him a second before we fucking kick his ass, but let him talk first.
Well, you have Carrie to keep in mind as well, because she doesn't look as patient as you guys are. So he starts rattling this off very quickly, but she is already starting to move towards him. So are you kind of, giving her a hand to try to get her to slow down, or anything? What?
Yeah, try to get her to slow down just a little bit and tell him to hurry the hell up.
All right. So you kind of reach over, and she turns and looks at you, and out of the probably just out of only respect for you is probably the only thing that's keeping her from smashing his head into the floor here. But he kind of sighs. He says, "All right, look, I'll explain everything. No more lies, I promise." He says, "When I contacted the director earlier today, I told her that I found the Codicus ring a couple weeks ago, but that was a lie. I actually found it. I've had it for 4 months now. I found it from my mother, Maureen. She spent her whole life studying the planes and the realities that lie beyond our own. The cosmoscope I showed you earlier, that was her life's work, not mine. It's just..." All right, look, it's not just some room with mirrors that let you look at different planes. When you arrange those mirrors in a certain way, you're able to see into alternate realities, into parallel worlds. But she wasn't able to complete it because we didn't have the Codicus ring. So with the ring, I was able to create these mirrors that she needed, so my mother was able to complete her work, but something went wrong. There was an accident. She insisted that to test out this cosmoscope, she wouldn't let me go in with her, and when she used it, it destroyed her mind, literally. She died, and I lost her, and I became obsessed with saving her, and with my background in robotics and my studies in plane radiology, I learned that from her that I devised a plan. I invented a conduit, a device that was capable of storing a living spirit and giving it agency over a robotic body. I created that to give her a new body that she could live in, and then I fished through the ethereal plane trying to find her. I tested the first conduit on you, Faith, and he sees, she's out there. He says, "You were the first one I found. I found you in the mirror, and I pulled you out, and I put you in that body. I'm so sorry for dragging you all into this. It was so selfish of me, but I looked for weeks." And at this point, Carrie is pushing past you. It's like she's not wanting to give him too much more rope to hang himself with. But specifically, you guys don't necessarily know that the stone that's in the robot's hand is the Codicus ring. You've just kind of pieced it together that is a ring shape and is probably it. But Carrie is being drawn towards something, and Ketis in particular, because your hand is kind of on her, you get the impression that she's moving more than just for Oliver at this point. So do with that what you will. But she says, "But I looked for weeks, and then he says, for weeks, and then early this morning, I found my mother in there." And he points at the pale blue mirror with crow's thicket inside of it. He says, "I extracted her to this custom conduit. It was my masterpiece, and I'd hoped..." And Carrie is kind of pulling past you, just letting her go.
No. I mean, see if I can
hold her back.
Yeah. I mean, as gently as possible, but as strong as I need to be.
How? Well, tell me what you're doing. I mean, tell me what
I'm
you're
just trying to are my hands still on her shoulder or whatever when she was trying to go past me?
Probably bicep to elbow.
Alright. Then I'll just try to keep her from moving and say, "Hold on, Gary. Wait a minute."
Just make it a flat strength, because it's not really athletics, really. I mean, it's up to you. I'll let you read. It's up to you. Yeah, well, I'll give you your proficiency on it too. That's fine. So you kind of tighten your grip and try to keep her from moving, and you feel something else inside there. That it's not just it's not just a rage wanting to smash Oliver, but there's something pulling her towards the robot. They just both happen to be almost at the same place, and that's where the kind of imperceptible thing is, where it's just barely something you're able to pick up, is that she's not going towards him, she's going towards the object in the robot's hand. They're almost at the exact same spot, but only, there's probably 6 feet of difference of space between them, because the robot's up. It's not on the floor, it's up. So I mean, there's just a very subtle difference in that, and that's what you're kind of picking up on. That she seems like she's pulling towards that almost. He says, where did I leave off? Oh yeah. So I extracted her into this custom conduit, and he's kind of stood up by this point, and he's dropped his hammer, and he's holding both hands up in front of him, in a hands up, don't shoot kind of a gesture. Thankfully, he's not black, but he's got both hands up. He says, I extracted her into this custom conduit. It was my masterpiece. I'd hoped she would be, the brilliant and caring woman that she was in life, but her mind is just gone, and she attacked me, and she grabbed the Caudicus ring, and I escaped, and I went to the med bay to regroup and patch myself up, and that's when she started pulling spirits out of the ethereal plane and forcing them into any life form she could find. And of course, the Karka, the things that he had here for experimentation, that kind of stuff, the mouse, a little lab rat kind of a mouse, basically, a bug that he had, the tardigrades, that kind of stuff. She started turning everything to crystal, and I don't think she's doing it on purpose, but I don't know how much control she has over herself. I mean, look, I'm sorry. I still thought I could save her. I thought I could still defuse the situation myself. I was worried you guys would do something, that you would hurt her, that you would, make me put her back in the ethereal plane, and I'd lose her all over again. In your left ear, Ketis, you hear Ophelia's voice say, I told you something was wrong. That little nerd is a goddamn necromancer. What do you guys do?
All right, well, we're going to have to tell him that his mother's going to have to be stopped one way or the other. So, I mean, he's better not get in the way.
It's got to happen.
So as you say that, as you tell him that she's going to have to be stopped, a lot of things happen at once. You see a beam of scouring bright white light shoot out from that disc that Maureen was, the robot. You've figured that out, right? That the robot that's in the pillar is Maureen. That's his mom that he's put in there. Her spirit anyway. So her robot hand, the one that was extended out towards the center of the room, she's got a disc in that hand, and that disc, a beam of light shoots out from that and pierces into the sapphire mirror, causing it to spin on its axis, reflecting this beam of light throughout the room, just this spinning strobe, like a lighthouse spinning just very fast throughout the room. Inside the sapphire disc, you begin to see those those flashing wisps, like little will-o-wisp things you were seeing, begin to fly toward their side of the disc until a stream of them begin to pour out through the a tiny fissure, a small crack in there, into the room that you're in. They begin to coalesce together almost organically into this silvery, translucent form that begins to take shape. At first, it's just like a bone rib cage until it begins to sprout arms, and then these two bone legs entering in silvery clawed feet. And the appendages and the details of this narrowing thing narrow down into a hulking creature, an amalgamation of spirits, as it's kind of taken form in this room, and it's massive. It's filling the whole room. It's not bone, it just the kind of shapes around it begin to show in this. What does it look like? As this thing is kind of beginning to finish and looking towards you, you hear a chorus of voices all speaking at the same time. They're speaking in one tone. It says, "Thank you, Maureen, your job is done." And then the faceless head of this thing turns towards you. It says, "Living ones, permit us entry into this world so that we may tear down the barriers between life and death. Join us in our cause."
Well, that's probably not a very good idea. So
Yeah, not.
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, not an ideal situation.
There's a wordless scream coming from it. It begins to get louder and louder and louder, and what it says is roll initiative. It's combat time. For Peter, use your Paratus effect. So go to your thing and your let's see, it's at the very top of your action set.
Damn.
An initiative is a little important for this fight, so that you guys both got crappy initiative is not good. Salko hit the magnifying glass first.
Yep.
And then you see where the effect button is, the gray button with looks like a head with little stars around it. Click that, and now go ahead and roll your initiative. So on your main tab, the very center of it is the init button. And now that you have that, since you put that thing on, that effect, it'll automatically roll it with advantage for you. There you go. So that's good, because you got a 2 and a 17. So you would have had a total of 4, instead you have a total of 19. So that's much better.
Dice jail's getting crowded.
Well, I mean, your advantage saved you on that one, so that's good. Alright, let me throw these guys in. Let me show you guys the map. There you go. That might take a second to download.
Mine's up.
Okay, good.
We're not on there yet, but the map's up.
Oh yeah, I haven't put you guys on there yet, sorry. It sounds like that hardwired thing is doing a lot better for you guys now, so... Becky, is yours hardwired too, or is it just Ben's?
No, it's just on Wi-Fi.
Yours is on Wi-Fi still? Okay. Are you connected to the, whatever, the Majig, the extender, or to the,
To the extender.
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
And we could get another cord too if we needed to from the PC
Yeah.
for this when we play.
Alright, go ahead and move yourselves wherever you would be in the entrance of this room. Now, I did not make a token for Oliver. Whoops. Carrie and Sophie are here. They had stepped into the room and Carrie... actually, I guess you'd have to be about there anyway, G, just because you're trying to prevent her from moving forward.
Yeah, that's fine.
And this thing is much bigger than that. There. It is just... Alright, so alright, it's about there. You guys see the circle at the top of the room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is where the pillar is. The mirror in the center of the room, when she hit it with the beam, the mirror started to rotate on its axis and is now spinning in circles and also moving around the room in circles, like an orbit, like a planet orbits a star. How the planet rotates but also moves in circles around it. Make sense? So that mirror basically is moving around like that. Carrie and Sophie, I'm gonna have them roll together. And I got their initiative already, so they're good. Okay. I'm not going to put the mirror on the map, but it is in the room and moving, so you guys can do with that what you will. You guys, Peter and Navarre, do you guys move?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
moved.
All right, and let's... Peter is the first to go. What are you doing? You are pretty beat up, so keep that in mind.
Yeah. I also noticed that combat says I'm status heavy now.
That's because you're beat
that-
up. That's from the 32 out of 62.
Yeah. All right. First things first. Ray of enfeeblement, if possible, on the creature.
Okay.
And I'm going to cast that at a level 3. Let me see how many slots I have left. Yeah, level 3.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and target him if you didn't. Yeah, go ahead and target him. And hit the first one that says cast. Hit that button. Did you... Oh, cool. Okay, it actually rolls the... I didn't realize that. I don't remember if it did that before. But anyways, it rolled the attack and the save at the same time, which in this case is... Both cases for you are good, because it failed its save, it rolled a 2, and it needed to beat a 17. So it is enfeebled. So grab the second of the first... Actually, click the first effect, the one that says self. Click that, and that's going to put it up for your concentration slot.
Sorry, I'm looking for that right now.
So hit the magnifying glass to the right of Ray of Enfeeblement,
Yep, got it.
and then this first effect button that says self, click that.
Got it.
There you go. And then grab the second one, the one that says ST, based attacks or half damage. Drag that gray button, drag it and drop it over on the Legion. There you go. And I think that automatically applies, but just remind me just in case if you get hit with something that, would be a strength-based attack. And that works for anybody, it's not just for you. Alright.
Sounds good.
Mark off your spell slot and any bonus actions.
No bonus actions yet.
You're gonna move.
Yes, actually I'm going to scoot just a little bit over here.
Okay. But if your turn. Carrie and Sophie they're not sure what to do with this thing, what to handle with it, but they both run in together and are kind of standing side by side, almost phalanx-like. Sophie draws, she's a rogue, but she draws both of her daggers off of her hip and is holding one face up and one face down, blade up and blade down rather, and is kind of prepared for this thing to try to swipe it. This isn't the kind of creature that anybody's ever, been familiar with. They don't necessarily know what to do to handle it. That's an annoying one. There we go. And Carrie is just beside her, holding her shield out and her short sword with the kind of glowing green on it. It is the creature's turn. It's going to, it kind of looks towards the group of you, since you're all kind of still somewhat clustered together, and you hear this just ear-piercing howling sound. It doesn't have a mouth. There's no, it's not coming from one place, it's coming from the entire body of this thing. But this kind of ear-piercing howling sound rolls over all of you. Roll a con save. You need to beat a 15.
Yeah, buddy.
Uh-oh.
Damn.
Babe, no.
That one could have been in the open too, Sako, but you rolled a 9 with +8 is a 17. So you pass and Ketis passes, but this kind of echoing earworm, kind of a ear-piercing kind of a howl, just kind of shakes you where you're standing for Nybara, and you take 2d6 psychic damage. Let me drop that on you for a total of 8, and you are frightened for the next until your next turn, I think is when that drops off. It'll automatically fall off when it does. What frightened means is you can't move towards it, and I think you have disadvantage on trying to hit it. Let me check real quick. Until that falls off. Frightened. Damn it, sorry, I should know that offhand, but... That's it for its turn, though. It is... Actually, it's going... Yeah, it's not going to move. It's going to stay where it is for now. It is Toki's turn. What is Toki doing? I've been looking up Frightened. Sako, what's Toki doing?
There you go. Toki's just going to move over there, and there's not really much that this little guy can do.
Alright. So it's just going to move over there and stay there?
Yeah, I'm going to split up for just a second and have him start to move around him.
Okay. Ketis' turn, and real quick before you go on, for Nybara, you're frightened, you have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls while the source of your fear, which is that thing, is within line of sight, and you can't move closer to it. So basically, if you tried to do any sweet flips, you're going to have disability, or a disadvantage rather, on the ability check, and if you try to attack it directly, you'll have disadvantage on that as well, until you're not feared anymore. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Ketis' turn, what are you doing?
Alright. First thing I'm doing is putting my shield up.
Okay.
Then going to hit this bastard with my crow's mark.
Okay. Does that take an action or anything to do? I don't remember. Is that a bonus
Bonus.
action? Yeah, it's a bonus action, okay.
Okay. Let's see. You know, I don't think I want to get too close to this guy right now, so I'm going to see if I can hit him with a death knell.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of hold out your shield arm and throw it at him, and he's huge. I mean, he's so massive it would be hard to miss almost.
He ain't gonna
you
move.
See, it's hard to say. I mean, with that, go ahead and roll your damage on it.
Okay.
So what you saw is the roiling green and black ball goes sailing straight through him. It definitely hit him. It kind of hit him where the chest would be, and there is just the faintest kind of burn there where it hit. Specifically, mechanically, what happened is the death nail did not hurt him at all, but the crow's mark hurt him. But it's only 4 damage from your crow's mark. It just doesn't hurt very much.
He's immune to necrotic damage, isn't he?
Yep.
Cool.
But you shot him once, so I mean you can still fire one more time with your death knell.
Yeah.
Since that's how that one works. But that's it for your actions for this. Okay. Yeah, that second one also hits. Yeah, same
There's
thing.
only 2
So
anyway.
yeah, but the death or the crow's mark burns him a little bit, so you see a very small spot where he's taken a very small amount of damage from it, but the rest of it appears to not have hurt. In fact, actually, I think your death knell or your crow's mark is also, isn't it? Doesn't specify, so it's still the crow's mark damage still hurts him.
Okay.
I think it's also supposed to be necrotic, but it doesn't specify, so I'm going to go ahead and say that it does hurt him. Is that it for your turn?
Yeah, because I already used my bonus action. So
All right. It is to Nivara. What are you doing?
Oh. So it's just disadvantage,
It's
right?
it's disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls to try to attack him, and then it's going to fall off as soon as your turn ends. So basically, if you used a reaction after this or whatever, it would be fine. But basically, as soon as your turn ends, so as soon as you're done here after your actions, that's when it'll fall off until he does it again.
Okay. Well,
Then you can't move towards him.
how? Okay. Well, I'm gonna use flame arrow.
Okay. Anything else? I think that's your bonus action, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you roll there. Yeah, you fire a shot out through him, and it goes sailing straight through where the head of this thing basically would be, and it doesn't stop there at all. There's no resistance. It's not like you're hitting anything of flesh. It does. I mean, it felt it. It moved its head as if it felt it. So it looks like it definitely hurt it. Go ahead and roll your damage. You rolled 2 9s actually, so the disadvantage didn't matter too much because it still hit. Similarly for this, it looks like part of your damage didn't hurt it very much, but the fire part did hurt it normally. It's resistant to piercing, non-magical piercing. Yeah, you don't have another shot or anything. Okay. All right, then it is back to Peter's turn. What are you doing? Oh, sorry. Actually, before you do anything, the arrow went through the head of this thing, and it roars, not the same kind of roar that was frightening, but it reaches one of these just very alien-looking kind of arms up to the ceiling, and grabs hold of the closest thing, which just happens to be another of these kind of ventilation ducts, and yanks it down, bringing down a whole column of it. I need Ketis and Peter and Faith to roll dex saves.
damn it.
So you kind of see this thing coming down as he's ripped this whole kind of column of this exposed ventilation shaft down. It comes collapsing down in a huge line all the way through here. I'm going to draw it as a square. Oops. I guess the square won't work because it actually tries to make it an actual square, not a rectangle like I wanted. I just deleted the shaft, but that's all right. So the ventilation shaft falls all along here. Faith was able to kind of buzz her way over, and she's just basically just to one side of it. Peter, you're able to jump directly out of the way, left or right, so you can choose whether you go left or right. Just one square to be out of the way. But Ketis, this thing comes collapsing straight down on you. You don't take very much, so damage on it is pretty low. It is... Yeah, it's only 2 damage, but it is pinning you now. It's fallen on top of you. You threw your shield up just in time that you kind of dampened some of the blow, but you now have all this weight of this ventilation shaft that's kind of pushed you down to the ground. You're now laying kind of not all the way down, but down on one knee with this ventilation shaft stuck above you and your shield over your head trying to hold it in place. You're not prone, but you'll have to get that thing off before you could move.
Okay.
And you took 2... How do you have 9 wounds and not burn through your temp? Oh, because you put the temp up on afterwards. That's right. All right.
It was after, yeah.
Yeah, so it just burned a little bit of your temp HPs off. All right, Peter's turn. What are you doing?
All right, I'm going to make a move real quick. 30 feet to the left. It's about 30, right?
Yep.
All right, I know everyone's been waiting for this, but now I'm going to dump a vitrolic sphere on him. I'm assuming he's about 15 feet in diameter, looks like.
Yeah, he's armed. I mean, if he were to stretch his arms wide, then it would be further. But yeah, I mean, just with his kind of standard shape there, he's about 15 feet tall and 15 feet around, yeah.
All right, I'm going to dump a level 5 vitrolic sphere on him.
Okay. So, have him targeted. You do. Go ahead and click the cast button. So hit the magnifying glass and then hit the cast button.
All right.
Throwing out the big guns. He rolled a 2 again. So he had to beat a DC 17 for you for a dex save, and he rolled a 2 + 1 is only 3. So you kind of, as you're running over there, hold both hands and just kind of start. Is it VSM? Which one is that? That is.
Yeah, it's a VSM.
Yeah. So you kind of not even looking where you're running. Basically, you just this thing comes collapsing down behind you, and you're just running off to one direction as it collapses behind you. Because cool guys don't look at explosions, and you're spinning your hands out in front of you in this kind of swirling motion until this glowing vitriolic orb of this kind of emerald green, this ball, this sphere, really of this acid is kind of pouring around inside of this thing, and you see it kind of bubbling and sloshing left and right as you're running. And as you get to the end there, you kind of just turn towards him and fireball style, like Hadouken style, go flinging it at him. It goes sailing over the kind of an arc up into the air, and then crashes across its face and just explodes, covering this thing in this disgusting boiling acid. He missed his save, so it'll be the first damage. So the one that says 10d4 acid magic, click that. And don't forget, so you need to remind me of this because I don't have any way to put this on there for a dot, but on at the end of its next turn, it takes another 5d4 of damage on top of that. You see that in the description there. It does 10d4 initially, and then another 5d4 as it burns on its next turn. So remind me of that, and I'll throw that on its next turn.
All right, and this is with the 5th level, so I think there's an additional 2d4.
Spell slot of 5th level or higher. Yep, 2d4. All right, go ahead and roll 2d4, and I'll throw that on him.
All right, 2d4 coming up.
All right, another 7 on top of that. That's a good first round. All right, yeah, and remind me to throw the 5d4 on him. Well, you'll do it, but on his next turn.
Sounds good.
Turn?
That's it for my turn.
Okay. As this is kind of thrown over him, you look over and you see that the spinning mirror that is still rotating around the room, you see more of these wisps pour out from the mirror. Looks like 3 of them have jumped out of the mirror and immediately go flying right past, like just almost faster than you can see. If they weren't so bright, you wouldn't have noticed them, but it's just they're just got this bright light. They go flying straight past Carrie and Ketis, Ketis is still kind of under the shaft there. I'm gonna move you over just a little bit, G. And they fly into that room behind you. And Carrie and Sophie are going. Yeah, she'll swing at it here. They both do. Carrie slashes at kind of an exposed arm of this thing and hits. Sophie tries to jump at it and stab it, but misses. Carrie did decently though. And that's it for their turn. It is its turn. It did not get its howl back. It is covered in this kind of screaming acid over it. It is going to look over towards... Actually, it sees Ketis underneath the shaft, actually, probably first. And it's going to... you don't... Actually, there's no visual representation of this. So you don't see it, but both Ketis and Carrie feel a sapping kind of an effect, like you're losing some vitality almost, like you're instantly feel tired almost. Go ahead and roll a con save, G. You need to beat a 17. Oh shit! I almost
Not with that.
closed. Not with that. You take 3d6 necrotic. Carrie saved. Some of that was absorbed. It was 12 damage total that you took, but you took some of it came off of your temporary HPs.
Can I use a reaction against that, or not? Or is that only with the physical attack?
You mean for parry or
For-
riposte? Yeah, not with that.
No, not for that. For a spell that I have for Hellish Rebuke. It's a reaction technically. I don't know if it would work on a spell or if it has to be on a physical hit.
Well, let's look. All it says is one reaction which you take in response to being damaged by a creature within 60 feet that you can see, and all of that is true. So yes, you could. It will take a spell slot though, right?
Yeah, it's a spell. Yeah.
All right. So it is. If you want to use that, he's got to make a dex save, 2d10 fire damage. If he makes the save, or fails the save rather, with 1d10 for each slot level above first. That makes it. Wait. Is that really a first level spell? Damn, that's a first level spell. So it'll be 6d10 fire damage if he fails the save.
Okay. So drop the cast on him.
Yep. There you go. He rolled a 4, because my fucking... No matter how badass I make bosses, they can't fucking roll for shit. You kind of... As you're still under this thing, your hand is still with the shield above your head. It's still kind of pointed generally in its direction, and you send out this beam as it just kind of you felt this kind of burning feeling. So you send out this beam of fire at it. It has no chance of jumping out of the way apparently. Go ahead and roll. Oh, I didn't upgrade the damage on that yet. Hang on. Yeah, I only put 4. Okay, I probably haven't upgraded this in a couple of levels for you.
We still got to roll the 5d4 damage too on him.
At the end.
Yeah,
of his
for the
turn,
rest of. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Peter's stuff.
All right, go ahead and roll the 60-10 fire on Hellish Rebuke.
Okay, do I just drop the damage on him, or do I just roll 60-10?
If you... No, you grab the damage and then, yeah, just drag it over and drop it on him,
Okay.
since it's not your turn. And mark off the spell slot. Damn.
Damn.
Is there burning this fucker up quick? Where is he? Oh, duh, he's the one I had targeted. Okay. Alright, and that is it for your reaction. So a couple of things are going to happen here. Go ahead and roll the... So Sako, grab that 5d4 from Vitriolic Sphere, drag it over and drop it on him.
Just 5 dice, and that's it.
No, so you go to Vitriolic Sphere, and then hit the magnifying glass, and there's already one in there for 5d4 acid magic. See that?
Oh yeah, I see it.
Drag the damage button, the gray button over, and drop it on him. There you go. Got the 10 damage to him. Yeah, you already marked off that slot when you cast it earlier. Okay, so that's it for its turn. As he's kind of just getting pelted with spells here, you hear clatter. Specifically, Navarra actually hears clattering coming in from behind. And Navarra, you look over your shoulder and see that there are 3 of those kind of chunky robots that were in there, the different variations in there, that now are ambulatory and moving and standing right behind you. It's Togi's turn. What are you doing?
Togi's
You
useless.
intuit that the wisps that came out of the mirror flew into the other room, embodied 3 of those robots, and brought them in, and looked like they were about to attack you. Toki's not doing anything.
Yeah, where are those robots located?
They're directly behind Naibara. You can see them on the map. And in the combat
yeah.
tracker now.
Gotcha. All right, we'll have Toki run towards those. 30 feet he can run, right?
I think he's 40 actually. Yeah, he's 40 feet with a climb of 30. So 40 feet of ground speed.
Oh, so he could actually reach one of them then.
So what's he doing?
I'm moving him over here 40 feet, and next turn he'll run some interference.
Okay. You recognize this one? Actually,
Sounds like-
damn it, G. I was gonna see if Sako recognized it.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude.
No, I was asking you, but I figured that you would recognize it. I just wasn't sure if Sako would get it or not. Did you hear what he said, Sako?
Breaking out the classics.
Yeah. Do you remember this one? Did you ever play Seven Saga as a kid?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What was that?
Did you ever play Seven Saga as a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that game. Like, it was a little obscure, but still one of my favorites, mostly because of how weird and eclectic the story was, and you know, for the time, you didn't have a lot of games where you had 7 different characters that would have, you know, a slightly different story, so that was cool. Alright, it is Kiedis' turn. You've got the ventilation shaft over your head that you're kind of just holding up with your arm. You're going to need to get that off before you can, you know, do much. So, what are you doing?
Going to try to get that the hell off of me.
Okay. You're just trying to throw it off?
Yeah, just kind of shove it off and get myself out of there. But back on my feet.
I'll give you the choice there. It is one long row. Throwing it off might be harder, but you are more skilled in athletics than you are in the alternative, which is the other choice I would give you. So basically, you've got. Actually, you're not. Never mind. I thought you were trained in one or the other, but you're not. So you can either try to sneak out from underneath it, which would just be kind of slide to one side and let it collapse, or you can try to push it off, like standing up and push it off.
I'm just going to kind of try to slide to the side then.
All right,
Acrobatics.
roll, yeah, acrobatics then. It's basically dex versus strength is what I was giving you the choice of, but yours are the same, so it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's enough. I mean, you were holding it in place anyways, and it's not super heavy, so you kind of just. Which side are you going to?
I'm going to go to
Closer to him or
the
further
right,
away?
towards the bar.
Further
Towards
away?
the bar.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and move yourself.
Okay, so I guess I'm...
That takes half your movement to do that, by the way, to get out from under there.
Okay.
So you take 15 feet out of your movement there. Actually, sorry. We'll still call it 15, but you have 40 feet of movement anyway because of mobile.
Okay.
So what are you doing?
I'm going to head over this way and see if I can help Navarre out a bit here.
Okay.
And see if I can hit number 10.
Okay. God, the fucking dungeon fights in this game were so goddamn hard. This is the
Dude, do you
dungeon.
remember?
This is the dungeon theme, huh?
Remember the part where you had to sneak into the castle when the guy had taken the castle over other companions every
Yeah,
time?
the other guys,
and there was
yeah.
fucking spiders in that goddamn dungeon.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The spiders
was the
were-
worst part of
all
the
the
game, dude.
variations of spiders were a fucking pain in the ass in that game.
Hmm.
Such a good one, though. I might go back and replay that again soon. It's fun. So you come, you kind of throw this thing off and turn behind you and see that these robots have kind of clattered up behind Navarra, go charging at it and just swinging at it as you're running. It cleaves straight through or straight into the first one. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Alright.
No.
Oh, no, no, I'd actually, can you take them off? I forgot
Yeah,
that's
I'll
not
take
the right guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Alright.
Yeah, the crow's mark is going to be on the target you have that on, which is just the big guy.
Yeah.
So you carve straight through this thing. It basically just cuts off a big chunk out of the arm. But basically, you as it cleaves through this, the light in the center of these don't look like they're well built necessarily. They're not necessarily intended for combat. But the kind of flickering light that's around this copper coil in the center, the same kind of copper coil that you see in Faith and the statue in the far distance, or the robot rather in the distance there, it stops moving and just collapses to the ground.
Okay.
What are you doing? You slash another one?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can hit 8.
Okay. And it hits.
Sweet. With a 1.
But it also... Yeah, I don't remember this one. Is this like a big boss fight or something? I don't remember this one. Anyways, same thing though. It kind of the light starts to flicker out of the coil and it just collapses back to the ground. Ready for your turn?
Actually, I'm going to put my shield back out.
Okay.
And
Bonus action.
just for the hell of it, I'm going to use my shield master, the one that defends against if somebody casted a spell at. So, which one do I need to? Do I need to click a
Let's see.
specific thing?
Okay, so it depends. So, are you trying to do the dex save one that you can add your shields to, or shield bonus to a dex save? Like if he tries to throw a spell at you?
Yeah.
Okay. That one only works if he's only targeting you. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't cost you anything to do it, so you might as well. They actually, you know what you do? That's a reaction. That's, well, not a reaction. That's something you would use if he was about to hit you with it. It doesn't cost your reaction, so you don't need to do anything for that.
Unless he tries to do that.
Keep in mind though, the last one there, if he hits you with something that would give you, something that would make you make a dex save or take only half damage, you can use your reaction to take no damage. Now you couldn't have done it this last time because you'd used your reaction anyway, and it wasn't a spell effect. It was him dropping the thing on you, so it wouldn't have worked there. But if he does hit you with something, basically keep in mind that last part. That last part's useful for you. Okay, then if you're
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Navarre's turn.
Alrighty.
You're no longer feared, by the way. And you do have one robot that's still moving right behind you.
That one.
Top one.
Well, go for that one.
You'll be at disadvantage if you're going to shoot him with a bow from right there.
Alright.
I'll let
Want
you
me to just roll it
decide.
again?
It's up to you. If you're still going to do it anyway, yeah, go ahead. I mean, you rolled pretty shitty and it still hit. You rolled an 8 and it still hit. So the odds are good that as long as you roll above an 8 anyway, then you'll still hit. And then you rolled a 1. So
Oh, of course.
let's see what the fumble is. That first one, the one that it rolled automatically, didn't make sense. So let's see what. Nah, that's not gonna. Well, you know what, we'll call this as not much of a fumble anyways. You have the choice, basically, from here for the rest of this combat. If you want to, you can add 5 foot to your reach. Yeah, really. Never mind, that's not gonna matter, because your range is more than this room is anyway, so that wouldn't matter. So instead... Oh, wow. Okay, this is... you're gonna make the rest of the team mad, but your thing is heinous punishment. It says, allies suffer disadvantage for their next attack, or enemies that have advantage on their spell DC. So basically, everybody gets disadvantage for your next attack.
Thanks, Aaron.
So you spun around and tried to shoot at this thing, and the arrow, like you just weren't quite ready. You let the arrow go too soon, and it clinks off of the wall and goes sailing right past Ketis' head, and he's just kind of demoralized from this he almost got hit in the head on accident with an arrow, like friendly fire arrow, and which is enough to distract Ketis. Peter, you kind of saw that at the corner of your eye too, so both of you have disadvantage on your next attack. Sorry, Becky.
That's alright.
Any bonus action?
Yeah, I'm gonna use healing.
Where are you throwing it?
Yeah, I'm down there. Yeah. I'm gonna do it for Ketis.
Okay.
Once he got.
Peter's way beat up, though. Peter's at half health. Ketis isn't that bad yet.
Oh, yeah, honey.
Throw it wherever you want.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Is he in range?
that's
though?
actually a good idea.
What's the range between
I'm not
Peter?
sure. 60 feet?
60 feet. What is your range on the spell? 60?
Yeah.
Okay, that's plenty. Yeah, it'll still be able to hit him.
And we're gonna do level 2.
Level 2? Alright. Healing word is a level 1 spell?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Right. Did I already put that in there so that it had all the levels in it there for you?
Yeah, you got my level.
Nice, that's handy. It looks like I need to do more because it only has just the first 3 levels, but cool. Well, that's 10 healing for Peter.
Thank you.
So after she, kind of puts the whole team in danger by accidentally shooting, or almost accidentally shooting everybody, she kind of looks towards you and mumbles something, and you see where some of the wounds you had start to stitch together with this little greenish energy. That one is down. That one is still moving. Is going to swing at Navara because she's closest. But it misses, and it is going to continue. Actually, it was right there. It is going to keep moving. It's going to move further into the middle of the room here, so you're going to have an opportunity attack on it if you want to use your reaction for that, for Navara.
Get him.
Yeah.
It's going to float over that bar. By the way, keep in mind that beam that I have in the middle of the room there, that's something that'll take. It's a dangerous or a difficult terrain, so it'll take you, double the movement to move through that spot. Just for that square. So,
Okay.
you can take a bow shot at him.
Yeah, I thought the reactions had to be.
Pretty sure it
and
does.
stuff.
Pretty sure it does. But I don't. Go ahead. It doesn't really matter at the moment. These things don't have enough health that it's going to make any difference. If you hit, it's going to go down. But you went ahead and rolled another one. Jesus. This one actually was not a critical on the fumble table, so there's no special failure effect. So it just goes wide and sails off of the room. Doesn't hit anything. But the spirit is, or the robot spirit is moved further into the room. It is now back to Peter's turn. There you go. Actually, before you guys do, Carrie shouts out to you guys. She says, "Son of a." The robots, they're coming in behind us. She says, "You guys work on this thing. Sophie and I will take care of them. Just go," because she's obviously trying to distance herself. You get the impression that she realized that there was something drawing her towards that, and maybe she's trying to keep her and Sophie away from it. But she's going to, it's not her turn, but she's basically telling you guys to take care of the creature, and they'll take care of the robots.
All right. Well, I got disadvantage right now, so I'm going to move over to the left here.
Okay. Now, disadvantage doesn't automatically mean it fails. I mean, you saw Navara still succeeded twice with disadvantage. It just means you have a 25% reduced chance of hitting, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna go heavy and dump on him, but I can't
Don't wanna
risk
risk
that fifth spell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this round, I'm just gonna chuck a firebolt.
Okay. Don't forget your portent too. If you want to throw a 10 out there, you've already used the other one, but you can throw out a 10 at some point whenever you want. Also, any spells you cast that are divination based, you can get a spell slot back for. So I don't think you've cast anything divination today, have you?
Nothing divination today,
Right.
no.
So just keep that in mind. You can get a spell slot back anytime you use a divination spell.
Copy that. I'm just gonna
Alright.
firebolt real quick.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
All right. Well, maybe you guys are all of a sudden cursed. At least it means my bosses last a little bit longer. But this one was a 2 on the table, so it didn't have any fumble effect either. So no special effect. The fireball goes sailing wide, goes kind of over its head, but it ends up just hitting into the ceiling where the spot that it had been ripped through. But no, it doesn't hurt anything else or cause any other problems. Any bonus actions?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. Carrie and Sophie are both going to try to disengage. They're going to use their action to disengage. So there's no opportunity attacks. It takes their whole action to do so. And then run over here and just get in within melee range of the spirit that's still alive. I'm moving them together just to, instead of having a bunch of different NPCs moving at once, I'm just making them act as a team. It is Legion's turn. It did not get its howl back. It is going to both of its hands, it kind of holds itself out in front of it, and it just slams its right hand on the ground, and then its left hand on the ground, and then its right hand on the ground, just kind of beating against the ground over and over and over again, causing this cloud of crystalline dust to pick up in the air. Obviously, Carrie, Peter is exactly 30. Ketis and Navara, how far are you guys? I think you're 40. What's Navara?
I'm I'm 40, so you'd be
She's probably
either
35.
35 or 40.
So it looks like
Yeah.
it's just Peter. Oh, sorry, I didn't move him. Oliver has been skirting the room, and this would be like his third turn, so I'm gonna go ahead and move him up to here. Oliver's been skirting around. Faith has been trying to get over close to him as well. Just as soon as she saw that he was coming this way. There's two robots behind you are on the ground at the moment. But anyway, so go ahead on Peter and make a Constitution save. You need to beat a 14.
This is
14,
thing,
huh?
I'm guessing it's not strength based, right? The
It's
monsters
con.
attack.
Oh, no.
Okay.
This isn't a strength attack now. It's not even an attack,
Yeah.
but you beat it anyways. There's a pink cloud of dust that's surrounding him, and it was basically to be whether or not you would be blinded by it. But you saved through it, so there's no trouble. And he is going to, with that, he is going to jump his way back to this corner here. It's just one big leap. He jumps his way back over here. He's now kind of in range to face all of you, so he's backed into the corner there. It is Toki's turn.
All right, Toki will be running interference, helping out Ketis, if possible.
Okay. For both of those are down. The two that are there. I'm going to drop him off real quick. There we go. Right there. Both of those two were actually. So thanks for reminding me. Actually, as he's jumping back there, you see this spinning mirror that is still in the room here. Two more rather of the. Oh shit! I forgot the other effect. Sorry, I've got to retcon one round worth here. When you guys both knocked those two spirits out, actually when Ketis slashed through both of them, you saw the little wisp thing that was kind of in there, in the coil, just go flinging back, and it goes flying straight at the creature there, at Legion, and gets sucked into him, and he looks like he's been slightly healed by it.
When the robots died.
Yep, as the robots. Well, I just
Whoa.
applied that to Toki on accident. He's not dead. Sorry. I applied it on the wrong thing. It doesn't look like it. It doesn't heal him for very much, but it looks like he was healed a little bit as the spirits left those robots and then were sucked into Legion.
Okay.
But sorry, so I meant to do that earlier. But they now, so that they went down. The two that you knocked down went down. Spirits were sucked into him as you knocked them down. Now, two more wisps have flown out from the mirror and have gone into those two things, and they stand back up again.
Okay, so the two robots are back up again.
Yep, all
Sorry,
three
you were cutting
robots. Yeah, all three robots are back up, but it looks like when they go down, they heal him a little bit. The souls that are embodying these robots, every time they are broken out of the robots, he sucks them in and heals himself.
Yeah, and those two that were down are back up and moving again now.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, it was Toki's. Toki moved over to distract. Sorry, there you go. It's Ketis' turn.
Alright. First thing I need to do is get closer. So, let's see. That would be my movement there. Now let me see if I got anything I can hit him with. From here.
You used all your spells. You still have your ring.
Yes, I do. Actually, I think I'm going to
And
use
you have
that.
your cantrips. Yeah. Can you use your ring?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the radius on that?
20, I think, sphere.
20-foot radius. Yeah, so it's a 40-foot here. Go, right-click on the map, and then go to the pointers in the top left, and then draw a circle.
Okay.
And it'll be, you need to draw it. Go ahead, just draw anywhere on the map, and then you can drag it over to land on him wherever you want it to hit. But it'll be the number. I don't remember if it shows you the radius or the diameter. Wherever we'll see it when you drop it. Go ahead and put it on there. We'll see.
And it's a 30.
It's a 20-foot radius
20.
for a 40-foot
Okay.
diameter. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So move that to wherever it's going to hit. So are you aiming it like above his head into the wall back there in that corner, or are you going to drop it straight on him, or what?
Yeah, kind of just right behind him there. So the center is just a little bit behind him, so he's inside of it, but nobody's close to getting hit. So,
All right, go ahead and target him if you didn't already, and then hit the cast. He rolled a 19, so he actually did save against the DC, which is a 15. It still does half
Bastard.
damage though. So you send out this point your ring out towards it, and you send out this roiling fireball that crashes into the ceiling above him. But he is kind of, just as this thing goes where you were kind of aiming it towards him, he kind of ducks us out of the way and just throws his hands up over his head with these giant skeletal hands that are bigger than you guys are, and kind of protects himself from some of this fallout that kind of comes raining down on him. Go ahead. Yeah, you still have a crow's mark on it. Yeah. Go ahead and roll the damage. There you go. Still did 17 damage, so that's not bad at all considering it was a free spell.
Nice.
Just remember that it's marked off, and then you'll have to put a new spell in it later, and you don't have Fireball anymore.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to change it to Expended. There you go. Just remember to put something in that later. But more than that, though, where this fireball exploded above his head, you hear a cracking sound, and you look over to the right a little bit, basically right to where that pillar is, right next to where he's at, and it seems like the force from that fireball has caused a big split down. It's not quite through the center, but down from the top, from the ceiling where it hits the ceiling, and down off to one side a little bit, and there's just a big crack that has shown up in this pillar of crystal around him from the explosion.
Okay. And that fireball took my action, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any bonus action?
Let me see. Just to be safe, I'm going to Super Stridos.
Okay.
Alright.
Shit, you guys. God damn it. My poor lame bosses. What the fuck is this from? Oh, fucking Pokemon. No, thank you. How about some Mario Ripcha? Yeah, that ruins the theme a little bit. That doesn't quite
That was a little
fit.
too heavy.
Alright.
It's right up there with Diddy Kong Adventure.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love Super Mario RPG, and I like Diddy Kong Adventure just fine, the Donkey Kong Country games. But the theme music may not be quite of this tone. So, all right, Navarre's turn. What are you doing?
I'm gonna go here. So I'm still technically on the other side of the air duct, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I can see over it.
Oh yeah. It's only
Short.
it's only about 3 feet up. Yeah. I mean, you're not super. You're not seeing way over it. Like you could probably put your elbows on it, but it's not blocking your vision.
Hit him.
Yeah, the arrow goes sailing over this open room in a nice clean arc and goes straight through its neck. If it was solid, the arrow just goes kind of flinging through it. And you notice that as soon as the arrow gets out the other side, it doesn't have the fire on it anymore. The fire stops with it, but the arrow just passes right through. Go ahead and roll your damage. All right. Yeah, it looks like it did. It still burned him and everything too. Any actions? Bonus action? Anything else? You've got 1,000,000 spells.
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out which ones are what.
Well, you know fireworks.
Yeah, but I don't think I have any fire bonus actions because I already have flame arrows.
Yeah, but I mean, you could, instead of your flame arrows on your turns, you could use something else that might hit a little harder if you wanted to. Your call.
Sorry, you cut out there. I didn't hear what you said.
I said, yeah, but I mean, when your turns come around, you could use something, that hits a little harder than your flame arrows. Because remember, your arrows, the arrow itself isn't doing hardly anything. It's only the fire. The fire damage isn't that much. So when your turns run around, if you wanted to, you could use something that, hits a little harder. If you chose to, by all means, do whatever, whatever's going to be fun for you. You do still have, you could bonus action heal, throw a heal at Peter if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And we're gonna do another second level.
Okay. And another 9 healing for Peter. He's actually
Thank
looking a lot
you.
better now. He was pretty low before, but he's only missing what, 13 now? Yep.
Yep,
13.
back from the dead there.
All right. Which one is 8? 8 is over here. It is going to, because Oliver is closest, it is going to swing at Oliver. Oh, he's not.
That is it. Get the disadvantage for the strength-based attack to get the disadvantage. Not that I care about Oliver, but you know.
Well, he's. What do you mean? He's not. He doesn't have.
Or was it the robot, or was it the big guy doing it?
It's the big guy that has it. The disadvantage shouldn't have been there. It was because I still had him listed as unconscious when he's not. I just took it off. But the better of those still missed. He rolled a 3 and a 4. So the sphere goes, or the robot kind of floats himself over there and just swings very awkwardly. But Oliver, who built these things, is kind of familiar with how they're together and just kind of swings his head underneath. He's not very dexterous. He's not a fighter of any kind, but just kind of dodged out of the way just in time. 6 is going to swing at Team Sweet Flips. It swings at Carrie, and she knocks the arm away with her shield, giving just enough space that Sophie is going to use her reaction and stab into it. And does hit. And this one collapses down, so she kind of stabbed into the center core where that coil is. And you see, as it's kind of collapsing, the wisp that comes out of it is immediately sucked back into Legion, healing it a little bit. With as much damage as you guys are doing to it, though, it probably doesn't matter that much, because you guys are jerks and don't let me have fun with my bosses. And 10 is over there next to Toki. He doesn't have a lot of choices. He's going to go ahead and take a swing at the poor little cat that's next to it.
Toki can't even turn into a hot dog or an igloo or anything.
Igloo. Hot dog. But it tries to swing down at Toki, and Toki just goes kind of, if it had feet, it would just have run between the feet and hops over to the other side. Toki is now over here, but did not get hit. It is Peter's turn.
All right, that last turn where I chucked the sphere at it, does Peter kind of have a general feel of this monster's ability to dodge? Meaning, can I use my 10?
What do you... okay, do you mean you want to use your 10 for, like, an attack on it? Yeah, I mean, okay, so I guess what do you mean by that? Like, are you asking if it feels like it's very dexterous?
Yes, because I'm thinking about using my Portent 10 for his save, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to save him or not, because I don't want him to be saved.
Well, I'll tell you what, roll an insight check.
All right,
what we're going to do is
here.
depending on your insight, I'm going to tell you a range of where his dex score is. And that'll give you an idea of whether or not he's, has a high chance of saving or not.
Insight.
Yeah, so with that roll for sure. So mechanically, he's got a 12. His dex is a 12. And he doesn't have any bonuses for his save, which means he has a +1 modifier to whatever his roll is, which means that he's got a slightly, barely above average chance of rolling. Which means that if you force a 10 on him, his roll would be an 11. And so basically, only because you rolled as high as you did, I'm telling you that he's not very dexterous. He doesn't move very fast. He can jump around a lot and that kind of stuff, but he doesn't move very fast. And if you were to force him to use a 10 for his save, it would be a total of 11. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, then I will recast Vitriolic Sphere at a level 5. And then I will force a 10 on him for a save, so that way, yeah.
That way he does not save.
Correct.
All right. So what we'll do then for that is, because there's no attack roll for it, it's basically a save or not save, then we can just roll the damage on it. So it would be 12d4, because you're using the upper level of it. So grab the damage, drop it over, and drag it on him. And then roll 2d4 extra, and I'll throw that on manually.
Okay, 10d4 dropping on him, right?
Well, you grab the damage one, the one from so that it's acid. You grabbed it from the spell, right?
Yeah, and then drop it on him.
Yep. There you go. and then roll 2d4 separately. That's a pretty good roll. Another 5 on top of that, so 29. He is looking pretty rough. He's not, like, dead. Basically, he's what's called bloodied. He's a little over halfway. Well, he's more than halfway with that. He was just about halfway before you hit him with that. And then just remind me that at the end of his next turn, he's going to take that extra 5d4 also.
Sounds good.
Okay, any bonuses?
I am good for now. I'm actually going to move if that's okay.
Yep.
Right there.
Okay. All right. Carrie and Sophie are going to charge at these, and they're going to split right when they get to the end here. Carrie's going to hit one, but she misses. Whoops. And I just accidentally dragged the vitriolic sphere again. And Sophie's going to swing at the other, and she hits. So Carrie tries charging at this and kind of tries to bring the one, or bring her short sword down to the one that just tried to hit Toki, but she misses. Sophie stabs the other one, and it also goes. The light burns out of it, and the spirit from it goes sailing over to healing Legion a little bit. That's it for their turn. Legion's turn. He got his howl back. Yep. And we'll apply it here in a second, but he's in the corner there. He's just getting kind of pelted with acid and fire from all directions, and he's going to kind of hold himself still again. And you see him kind of push both of his hands into the ground, and he just roars up like a wolf would. Everybody roll a con save. You need to beat a 15.
Wait, can I use counterspell on this?
God damn it. It is... I just keep dragging the wrong things again. Like I just turned this Ray of Enfeeblement thing on. Can you... It's not a spell. You can for his life drain, but not for his howl.
Okay.
Con save.
Con save. Sako's good. Ooh.
Damn it.
Babe.
Alright, so... let's see, it's going to be... Carrie made hers, Sophie did not, Ketis did not, and Navara did not. Peter made his. So, you guys... I'll roll it... I don't have any target, right? Yeah, I'll just roll it and then you guys will take the damage. 9 damage to Ketis and Navara. And I'll put it on them. Put you to 21. Hey, both of you guys have the same health. Did you know that Navara actually has 1 more HP, max HP than you? G?
Not too much grab.
Alright, but that's it for its turn. He howls and oh, you guys are also frightened. So drop that on Ketis and on Navara. And on her. I'll do it manually since I have Carrie and Sophie together. They weren't going to move closer anyway, so it's okay. That's it for the end of his turn, so Sako, go ahead and drop on the 5d4 on him for as the acid continues to burn him.
Alright, let me go grab that spell.
Oh, and Oliver on his turn had, with the robot right next to him trying to attack him, he had backed away. He went around the row of broken things and is about there. Nice, another 11 on him. He's got about a third of his health left, a little bit more. Toki doing anything?
Just going to constantly annoy the spirits right there, the embodied spirits.
Okay. You guys... really all 3 of you, I guess. Roll an insight check, all 3 of you. Oh shit, yeah, you guys are the fear. Well, you guys got a 2 with your disadvantage. That sucks. Peter, you, especially because you're kind of a little bit away from the melee, you are noticing that this spinning mirror that is rotating around the room and kind of orbiting around the room here, you're seeing a very thin and subtle, and it's hard to, it would have been easy to miss, but you're seeing this thin stream of these kind of, these spirits, these souls that are floating out of it and just constantly going into it. And it looks like it's constantly getting energized by the souls that are coming out of that mirror. So do with that what you will, but that's basically, you're seeing this kind of steady stream that's coming out of that mirror as it rotates around the room that are going into it. Ketis' turn, what are you doing?
Alright.
You did not, you didn't notice the mirror thing, by the way. Only Peter did. So Peter, when it's your turn, I mean, free actions normally you could
yell at
shout.
us.
Yeah, exactly. He could yell. Technically,
Okay.
free action you could yell it, anyway. So if you were to point that out, Peter, then Ketis could act on that knowledge if he chose to.
Oh, I don't have to wait for my turn?
Well, you're supposed to when it comes to anything. Hang on, G, you're cutting out a bit. Yeah, Sako, since, I mean, you can hear me clearly at the moment, Sako, so when it's your turn for any kind of an action, definitely, but for just for yelling or talking to each other, that's a free action. You can do that pretty much anytime.
Okay, then I'll probably do that right now. I'll just yell it out and tell them that I've seen the spirits and everything in the mirror.
Alright, G, can Becky and Ben, can you guys hear me?
He was cutting out a bit, but I'm assuming he was just saying that he yelled at it. Got the mirror, right?
Yeah, you're cutting out again, G. Becky, try saying something.
Hello?
Yeah, you're clear, so it's, well, sure. It's got to be something with that laptop. I'll get the machine set up for you in the meantime. But anyways, yeah, so I mean, as long as you guys understand what's going on, then what are you doing? What's Ketis doing?
Then, where is the mirror?
It's
in
rotating
relation to
around the
where I
room
am?
right now. It's directly to the
It's
south.
floating around, moving, right?
Yeah, it's floating around. Right now it's in the south. I'll go ahead and I'll drop a token on here for
Hello?
you so you guys can see it.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's right there right now. You guys cutting out? I can hear you guys okay.
Oh, because we can't hardly hear you at all.
Like, am I cutting out, or what's like volume wise, or what?
No, you're just cutting out a lot, especially on mine.
Okay. What's your Discord look like?
Now it's green, but it's been red for a while.
Okay. If it's green, do you guys want to take a quick break now to see if it clears up? We've been in for a couple hours, so we can take a quick break if you guys want.
It's up to you guys.
Sure. You guys want to?
Yeah, we might as well. I still hear you guys cutting out a little bit, so. All right, let's take 5.
Okay.
Sako?
Sounds good. Yep, sounds good.
All right.
back on if everyone else is.
I'm back. Anybody here?
Yep, I am.
Alright. Having fun, Sako?
Yep, just ran outside real quick to put out the car lifts and everything and get it ready.
Cool. We don't have too much longer. We probably have another maybe 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour. Depends on how long you guys take to go through some stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. It's no problem. There's plenty of daylight. I've gotten it down anyway, so I can probably do Risha's car in under 35-40 minutes and mine in under 45-50.
Nice. Whoa. That sounded robot-y. Say something, G? Oh, maybe that wasn't him.
Yo.
Yo. Becky, back too?
Okay.
Cool. Alright, you guys are here now, so. Alright, so we should be okay then. Oops. Alright, where were we at? Keith's turn. What are you doing?
Okay.
So Peter just shouted over to you that there is a stream of spirits coming out of the mirror and going into Legion. And so when he called that out, you can see it. The mirror is to the south of you. It's that companion cube I dropped on the map there.
Yeah.
It is rotating around the room. It's going counterclockwise, so it'll be moving over towards the doorway soon.
Okay. Alright, so if you can, I'm gonna come in and see if I can mimic the dudes in over here. So, I'm gonna head in from here.
Yeah, it would be there.
For melee attack.
Yeah, for melee. You're cutting out a bit there, but I heard that's what you're doing. You can't move close to him though. You can't. You're still frightened, so you'd have to stay where you were.
Oh yes.
And you'd also have disadvantage if you're gonna attack him.
I was at 35, I think. Okay, then I was there.
Okay. What are you doing?
You know what I'll do instead is right here. That's so. I'm gonna see if I can hit the mirror instead with the death
Okay.
knell and damage it.
Okay. You won't have disadvantage for hitting the mirror because it's not the source of the fright, so you don't have disadvantage on that.
Okay.
So you're gonna death knell the mirror.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, actually, first I'm gonna put my shield up.
Okay. You try to shoot at this, but it's spinning in place too on its own axis, so it's a disc, meaning that when it turns the kind of sideways from you, it's just a thin, field that would be very difficult to hit, and it does just that. Your death knell goes sailing straight past it, doesn't impact it.
When I rolled it, it gave me this. So did it?
Oh, shit,
Either way,
sorry.
did it not hit? Because it 2 dice
Yeah.
worth. So
I think it doesn't. I don't think it is able to tell the difference. So actually, you rolled a 9 and a 4, and actually the 9. Never mind. So the 9 would have hit. So go ahead and roll your damage on it.
okay.
Okay. So the ball just cracks into the side of it, and it caused it to spin actually faster now. But it looks like it did. It doesn't look like this mirror has a lot of defense or a lot of health for that matter. you know, if a mirror could, but it definitely took a good chunk of the damage out of it.
Okay. I'll see if I can hit it with another
Okay.
disadvantage again.
Yeah, you rolled a 13 and a 4, so the 13 still hit. So go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, same thing. It took a nasty hit out of it. It's a little over half, but you noticed actually as you've hit this thing. What is with the volume on these? Some of these are super quiet and some are super loud. I'll just switch over here. Anyway, you notice that the stream that's coming out of it looks like it's dimmed a little bit. But if your turn. G. How about Becky? Can you hear me?
I actually am going to sip for Stratos, and that is it.
Okay. Alright, Navarre's turn. You are also frightened.
Okay.
Yeah, like I can hear you guys.
Right now.
Me either.
Alright, just type it for me.
Can you hear me?
I mean, kind of. I can hear you, but it's delayed, I guess you could say. Can you guys hear me? Just type what you're doing so we can move on.
I'm still good on my end here.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. It's just their network up there. Then type in Discord.
Green.
Can you type in Discord?
Yeah, just type it in Discord then. It doesn't matter which one. I can translate as needed. G, yours is fine then?
Here.
Alright, what you want to do, babe? I can type it in.
She just did. I
Use
saw it.
flaming sphere on
Okay.
him.
Use what?
Flaming sphere.
Flaming spear or spear?
Sphere.
Sphere. It's a circle.
Okay. And he failed his save. He rolled a 10 plus 1 as an 11 versus your 16 for your DC. So the ball goes kind of rolling over through the middle of the air, basically towards him. Yeah, I think the frightened wouldn't matter in this case because it'd be against the sphere, not against you. So, what level is Flaming Sphere?
It's 2, but I'm gonna use level 3.
Okay. Is that 3d6 then? Higher levels, spell slot 3rd level higher by 1d6, yeah. Yep, so 3d6. Okay, so this ball, and you notice actually as it's kind of rolling through there's enough of a force around it that the crystals in the room beginning to kind of are breaking underneath it, just from the kind of magnetic force really that's coming off of this thing. All the trail of crystals along that way break as it's going over. That does drop your flame arrows, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. And your frightened will drop off after the end of your turn. And any bonus actions or anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna use a first level heal on myself.
Okay. There you go. That it for your turn?
Yeah.
All right. That one is going to... actually, that one is down. That's the one that Sophie hit. And this is the one that was missed. It is going to swing at Carrie. And it misses, and she is going to retort. And drops that one. She cuts through that one, dropping it back down to the ground again. And another of that wisp basically gets sucked into Legion for a small heal. And it is back to Peter's turn.
All right. Did I do poison on that last one? Acid on that last one?
It was acid, yeah. Vitriolic
still-
sphere is acid.
Yes, the sphere. Should I have done the dice thing on Legion?
I thought you did. Didn't you do the 5d4 afterwards when it was his turn? Let me look.
Yeah, we did like 11 damage, I think.
Yeah, it did. It was 11 for the second time.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, cool deal. Let me take a quick look here. What's the status of that spinning mirror right now?
It is still spinning, and there's still a stream of something coming between Legion and that mirror. And the mirror itself is pretty dinged up. It's looks like a few more good hits would destroy it or break it.
All right. I'm going to chuck a firebolt at the mirror if possible, if that's all right.
Sure.
And just hit cast, right?
For your firebolt, hit the magnifying glass and then the cast. It actually goes wide. It sails over this. Wait a minute, no, it doesn't. Why did that? Hang on, I think the AC on that's wrong. Yeah, the AC is only 12. Never mind. It hits. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Nice.
It cracks into this thing in almost the same spot that the kind of the death knell, basically the ball of black and green energy does. Hits it almost the same spot, and as it's spinning around and you're seeing this stream that is still going out towards the Legion over there in the corner, there's almost like Morse code. There's a break in the line for just a brief second as it gets hit, and then it resumes. It's a little bit thinner, it's a little bit weaker, but the stream resumes. Going over towards that. That it for your turn?
Yep, that's going to be it.
Okay. Carrie and Sophie, two of them are down already, so they are going to team up on the last one. Oh, she already hit, so... And cut through that last one and knock it down again. And then she is going to back up to get a little bit better spot. Right there. And another heal to Legion. And it is its turn. It does not get its howl back. It is going to use its legendary action, though. It's a little bit beat up, so big boss. Well, I guess I'll explain that another time. Basically, big bosses have a special mechanic called legendary actions that they can use, and so it's going to kind of similar to what it did earlier. It's going to kind of hold both hands against the ground, against the floor there, and there's this kind of, you see this emanation that kind of lines up through the crystals. It just kind of emanates out from it through all the crystals on the floor until they get up towards you, and you feel that your energy begin to just sap into these crystals at your feet. All three of you roll a con save. Need to beat a 15.
Wait, but I can use Dispel Magic on this one, right?
This is different, actually. This
Or
is legendary
counter
action. Yeah, sorry,
Sure,
it's the
sure.
other one. It's the individual
Oh,
one, basically.
magic.
This is the legendary action one.
What was that? Oh, come on.
That is not
Really?
good.
Would my shield master thing work in that? Because that's only dexterity based thing. So.
Yeah, that's a dex save. That's when you can deflect it with a shield.
Yeah.
So Peter saves. You rolled a 19 plus 8 is a 27. But Kitas and Nevar again did not save, so Peter will take half damage. It is 19. So Peter, you take 8 damage. Kitas and Nevar both take 19.
And this is still considering that he's also enfeebled.
Yeah, this isn't a strength attack. This is necrotic damage.
Ah, gotcha.
Oh, I gotta drop it in half. Hang on. And with that hit, for Navar, you specifically feel the mental acuity that you're using to wrap around holding that sphere up has expired. Your con save was a 3 plus 3 for a total of 6. But you guys are there, and let me cut this in half for... There we go. Sako, because of Warcaster, your concentration... What did you have concentration on? Oh, you were keeping Raven female. Yeah. So Sako, you have a feat called Warcaster, and that gives you advantage on your con saves or your concentration saves. You rolled a 1 and a 12. So because of advantage, you're keeping it up. Otherwise, it would have failed.
Nice.
And so now that was his legendary action. Now his regular action, he is going to cast Life Drain. So now is the opportunity if you wanted to on Navara to throw that up. You can protect it. Well, if you succeed, it'll block it altogether. So it is a 5th level. Your counterspell is 3. Whatever you're gonna cast counterspell at. Oh, I guess I should have told you. It's a 5th level spell that he's using for his life drain. So how counterspell works is if you cast it at the default level, then basically you have to roll for it, and there's a chance that it'll cancel it out. If you cast it at the equal level or above, then it definitely cancels it out. So what? Are you? Wait, is this a spell or is it your bracer? It's your bracer, isn't it?
It's my bracer.
Okay, then in that case, you can't cast it at a higher level. So it is. DC equals 10 plus the spell's level, so you need to beat a DC 15. Actually, it needs to beat the DC... No, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, you have to beat the DC 15 on a what? It's an ability check. Okay, so you need to beat a 15 on... your spells are wisdom-based, so you roll a wisdom check. You need to beat a 15. Ooh. So, you rolled a 15 plus 4 is 19, so you see its hands in the ground again, and kind of similarly the way that it had drained you guys earlier, you kind of are almost prepared for this, and knowing what it was about to do, you hold up a silencing hand, just the fingers like the silencing gesture, and stop it just in time. Go ahead and mark off your... Oh, you did. You already marked it off. Okay. And the spell is Fizzles. That's it for its turn. Actually, it is... in kind of anger and frustration at this, it's going to dig its claws into the ground and start to rip up the... you guys are standing on suspended flooring, and rips up a big panel of it. So basically the space in front of it is now a line here to here. Is blocked up. It's up about halfway. He's still visible above it, but there's a big kind of wall in front of him where he's ripped up the floor and lifted up in front of him. That's it for his turn. What's Toki doing?
Being useless. Run interference with embodied spirits.
Okay.
Same area.
Okay. The Ketis' turn. The mirror doesn't do anything, so Ketis' turn.
Okay. If I go... Is it just where the line is? So can I get close to him if I go on the stairs above, or is it all the way, like
the line
itself, where I can't physically get close to him?
You could presumably go over the stairs. I mean, that would be, the movement would be difficult terrain over that, so you would take double movement for those squares of the stairs.
So I still wouldn't be able to get there anyway. Alright, I'm gonna finish the mirror off if I can.
Okay.
See if I can hit it with Death Knell then.
Okay. And it hits.
Sweet.
It takes a massive chunk. You hear it actually shatter almost. It's still intact, but only barely.
Alright, now I'll see if I can hit it again.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't have a lot left anyways, but
Yeah, no, that's bad time to get
yeah,
it.
at least you finally get a crit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Take that, mirror.
Yeah, and so the spinning ring is still there as this thing goes sailing through, but the crystal, the sapphire that's kind of forming this thing, just shatters, sending these shards of blue chunks of gemstones basically all around that area there. Not close enough to hit Peter or anything, but kind of all over that space. And then the disc is still kind of rotating in space for just a second, and then begins to slowly fall, and then just fall straight to the ground as if whatever force was holding it up is not there anymore, and just clatters to the ground and rolls around like a hula hoop. But if your turn,
Actually, gonna sip a Stardust and then I'll be done. Okay.
Navarro's turn.
Okay. We're gonna try
Now this stream that was going between the mirror and Legion is gone now, and presumably because that's where basically the if you were to look, you're not close enough to see this, but if you were to look, you'd see small fragments that could still see those wisps, but that doesn't look like they can come in or out anymore.
Cool.
try the flame here again.
Okay.
Level 3.
All right. This time it did succeed. Actually, roll a 17 plus 1 is an 18. Beat your 16. It still does. I think it does just half damage now, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, go ahead and roll it. And put the effect back up, the concentration effect. Yeah, it still does half damage. So this time, the sphere goes rolling over towards him, but kind of crashes through this wall that he's kind of pulled up in front of himself over the floor. And it still rolls over his shoulder, but it just doesn't look like it hurt him as bad as the first time. But it does, it still damaged him. He's still looking pretty healthy though. But if your turn.
We're gonna use Healing Word on myself again.
Okay.
Level 1.
All right. And these guys are both still down. Yeah, they were down actually the last one, so they can't get back up again. So that one's gone. All right, Peter's turn.
Alright, gonna throw another sphere at him.
Vitriolic.
Yep, level 4 this time. That's all I have left.
All right. Oh, damn, yeah, burn through spells good.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna cast now.
Okay. And he fails a save. It was a 12 plus 1 is 13, so does not beat your 17.
Alright, shooting damage.
And this one, no extra, right? It's just the, yeah, because it's level 4, so yeah, just the 10d4.
Yep, just the regular.
It's 23 damage. The ball of the kind of glass sphere almost of this rolling green liquid looks like it's about, because you kind of throw it in an arc and it looks like it's about to miss, like he's going to be able to just dodge out of the way, but it ends up hitting him just fine. The roll was just barely. But it does hit him, and this kind of continuing assault of acid and fire keeps splashing over him. Remind me to apply, or to have you apply the 5d4 on his next turn. Any bonus actions or anything?
No bonus actions, just gonna end turn.
Okay. All right. Carrie and Sophie are going to just run over to Faith, make sure that she's okay, and then Carrie is going to. Sophie's going to stay there. Carrie is actually going to hop over the thing to kind of move back towards the middle here, just to see if she can be of help without getting too close to the pillar there. On the Legion's turn, he gets his howl back. All right, that's too much, anyways. But he, looking around and seeing what the situation is, that this isn't going too well for him, he is going to jump over the little wall that he's made, landing directly in front of Ketis here, and then reach down and make a dex save on Ketis.
Okay. And now can I use my Shield Master thing as a reaction?
I think so, because it's only
Or
target-
would it
it's not-
count in this case?
It's not a spell, but I think you can, even whether it's spell or not. So let me check real quick. You can use your shield's AC bonus to any dex saving throw you make, so which is 2. So go ahead and roll your dex save, and we'll add 2 to
Okay.
it.
Alright.
Oh,
Sweet.
shit. Yeah, you lucked out, because that would have been real bad. That's a total of 23, because you have an extra 2 from your shield. He reaches down and with one of the... Remember, this thing is massive. He's almost 3 times your height. And he reaches one hand down with this hand that's larger than you and swipes, but not trying to slash you, but instead trying to grab you in his hand. And you kind of just throw your shield up enough that you hear these kind of metal-like claws just rattle against your shield as they scrape off of it, and you kind of step back just enough that it's... I'm going to go ahead and step you back. Just a half step there. that he was not able to grab onto you, but you're kind of still close by. But he basically tried that and missed, and instead, so he's going to in anger scream, in the kind of all of the mouths, all the spirits of this mouths that are kind of holding this thing together, screaming in anger and frustration. He's going to jump back here instead, and where the crack showed up in the pillar there, he's going to reach up and grab that chunk and rip off this kind of big massive spear of it, basically this chunk of the crystal that was up there, and he's going to fling it. He's going to fling it at you and Carrie, because she's right behind you, which is his potentially highest damage thing. Go ahead and make another dex save, and you can still use your shield for it.
Kick
To
ass.
jump out of the way. She does not jump out of the way.
Uh-oh. And I don't either.
And you did not either. Yeah, you got a total of 7. This massive chunk that is basically about a third of that whole pillar that was about 15 feet total, so just a big chunk of this crystal goes sailing straight over and crashes into you, knocks you straight to the ground. You kind of get knocked into Carrie, and both of you are pushed way back. You kind of slide across the floor with this thing on this chunk of crystal on top of you to about here. Damage wise, that is 15 damage to both of you. You got lucky because those are pretty low rolls. There you go. And you feel tiny splinters of this thing like covering you head to toe. That you're kind of covered in these itty bitty chunks of crystal. That's just like part of it in your face, part of it in your exposed where your arm is exposed. You're kind of covered in these little bits of crystal, and that's really bad news, as you know, because if this stuff expands fast, you'll be dead very quickly. Not that there's a lot you can do about it at the moment. Just keep that in mind. That is it for its turn. Toki. Just doing cat things, just hanging out.
Just doing cat things, turn into igloos. I'm gonna move him back over here.
Okay, he's just sitting there licking his paws.
Yeah, he knows he's useless.
All right, that mirror is busted. It is Ketis' turn. What are you doing?
Okay.
Oh, by the way, when that pillar was ripped in half, Oliver screamed, like just in a panic, just screams no, because his mom is still in the pillar there.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, actually, he runs closer. Not that he can do much of anything, but he runs closer, trying to protect his mom.
Alright then. Since I can't use that and I can't get within melee range of him, I'm gonna see if I can hit him with one of my create bonfires.
Okay. That's
Right
a
up under
space
him.
thing. You drop it underneath him, so...
Yeah, so like roughly in the middle.
All right. He succeeded. He rolled a 16 plus 1 is a 17 versus your 15.
Crap. Okay.
Does it do anything on a success?
Let's see.
succeed on a dex save or take 1d8 fire. Creature must also make the savings anytime it enters the space for the first time or ends its turn there. So if he doesn't move, he'll take damage while he's there.
Okay.
That if
And
you're,
then,
you're still you still have this thing
yeah,
with you. So
well, I need to heal myself a little bit too. That'd be it.
I'd say your arms aren't pinned enough. I mean, you should be able to go ahead and drink your Stridos if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You still have this giant chunk of crystal on you, so just keep that in mind. Navarre's turn. What are you doing?
Alright, so I still have Flaming Sphere up, right?
Yep. And it is... I think you can move it on each turn, can't you?
Yeah, I can move it with a bonus action up to 30 feet.
Okay, so you can move it back over to him to burn him again. It is, well, wherever you dropped it, but I assume it was where he was on his previous turn, so definitely within 30 feet.
Yeah, so do that, and then... So do I just get the cast on it again, or...?
I think so. I think it would have to save again, right? For the dex save, what level is it?
Level 3.
Okay.
Oh, must make a saving throw against the sphere image. If I ram it with the sphere.
Am I blind? I don't see it on 3. Oh, it's
Oh.
2. Yeah, it's 2.
2.
There it is. I found
Sorry.
it. All right. When you move the sphere, you can direct it over barriers and jump it across pits. Ignites flammable objects, and... Yeah, it would just be... Yeah, just under the cast. And he failed. He rolled a 12 plus 1 is 13 versus your 16. So go ahead and roll the damage. Yeah, he's looking pretty rough. He's still... He's not beat up, or he's not dead just yet. He's about 1/6 of his health. And so that was your bonus action and your action. Wait, no, just your bonus action to move it. What are you doing with your action?
25 feet. Alright. Healing word on Hedis at level 2.
Do you need to be able to see him? I'd say really the chunk isn't covering him completely. You should see him a little bit there. That's fine. Go ahead. Okay. Oh, damn. That's a crap roll. But if your turn.
Sorry, honey.
Thanks, man.
But if your turn. Alright, back to Peter's turn. What are you doing?
Alright, I'm going to use my final 4th level spell. And this is it for me on this one. Another sphere.
Okay. You still have 1st and 3rd left.
Yeah, I'm bringing up the big guns for this guy, though.
Alright, go ahead and, yeah, drop the cast on him. He rolled a 10 plus 1, so he did not beat it. He's failed again. So my bosses never succeed on their saves for shit. It's like a 5% success rate. Go ahead and roll the 10d4. Another 20 damage to him. Okay, he's starting to look pretty rough. Alright, any bonus actions or anything?
Nope, just that 5d4 later on.
Okay. Alright, Carrie is not wanting, because she realizes that Oliver is now not necessarily on purpose, but he is approaching the ring. She's going to use her full movement to try to get close to him, which gets her to there, trying to interject to keep him from getting close to the Cauticus ring. It is Legion's turn. He doesn't matter because he's not used it yet. He is going to use that energy drain again, which takes 2 out of his 3 legendary actions, so you need to use the last one anyways. All 3 of you make a con save again. You need to beat a 15. They both saved. Peter did not. Both of you guys did. Kiedis and Navarre both did, but Peter did not save this time. Peter, you rolled a 2 plus 8 is a 10. Kiedis and Navarre got 16s. You needed to beat a 15. This one is shit. There it is. That is 22 damage to Peter for the life. Oh shit, he was supposed to be. God damn it, I screwed that up. He was supposed to be healing himself with these two. Whatever. But you still succeeded on your, because of Warcast, you rolled a 19 and a 2. Still succeeded on keeping your concentration up, so that's good. It is seeing a somewhat helpless target directly in front of him, with Oliver right in front of him there. He is going to jump over to Oliver, and I don't know if he'll have much because he doesn't have a real AC. Yeah, he definitely does not. He picks up Oliver and just lifts him straight up in the air and then smashes him straight into the ground, just flat into the ground. And Oliver is unconscious. You see Oliver's body just smash straight into the ground. He lays still, unmoving, and there's a spreading pool of blood coming up from under him. That is it for its turn. Toki's turn.
Just gonna move Toki forward a little bit here.
Okay.
Nothing like a little fresh blood for Toki.
Sees a snack. Alright, Kita's turn.
Alright. I'm going to see if I can hit this son of a bitch.
It does have one arm extended that you just kind of smushed poor Oliver into the ground with.
Yeah. Poor Oliver.
You guys don't have a lot of pity for him, huh?
No, actually I didn't really care much when he died.
Well, he was a jerk to the Dellans cat.
Damn it.
Misses. You didn't have him targeted, but the AC is too low. Or but you did have him targeted. No, it did miss. Okay. Why does that... It showed your things in a weird order. It showed the 13 at Legion miss, and then it showed your the attack afterwards. Usually goes in the other order. But anyway, doesn't matter. It missed. Swing it again?
No, try. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
There you go. And that one hits, and... Oh, shit. Okay, well, I don't know... I'm not sure if you've got a bunch of attuned items. It says, so the critical effect that you got for this one, narratively doesn't exactly suit, but I don't really care too much. It says attunement. You can attune a 4th magic item until you reach the next level when this ability goes away.
I don't think I have anything. If it's not already, that's not already attuned anyway.
Yeah, I mean
So.
the bracers, but I don't think you have anything. I don't
That's
think you have
kinda cool,
anything limited though. Yeah, it would be cool, but you guys are going to level up soon anyway, so it won't even matter. But the slash, where you bring this down into the arm that is kind of holding Oliver's corpse to the ground, you slash in through it, and there's no flesh to be cutting through here. Like you guys have attacked this thing physically a few times by now, but there's where you cut through. There's kind of this flash of energy, and some of these kind of these groaning spirits that are inside this thing kind of wisp out of it and just dissipate. They're just gone. You don't necessarily know where they're gone to, but it looks like it's not holding together very well anymore. That it for your turn?
Just to be safe, I will do one more sip of Stratos.
Okay.
And that'll be it because I already used all my movement. So.
Okay. It is Navarro's turn.
Okay, so he moved away from my spear, right?
I think the radius is like 10 feet, isn't it? I mean, he'd still be at the edge of it.
It says
Oh.
it's 5-foot diameter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought it was bigger than
Did he take the last acid damage from
that.
the?
I don't think
Peter's
he did. I don't think he did.
no.
Yeah,
Not
go ahead and throw that on there, Soko. Just drop the 5d4 on him.
Just one, right?
Yep, just the 5d4. No. So go to the vitriolic sphere and the spell in your list.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Just drag it on him.
Well, I don't see my level 4 and 5 spells anymore. I think it's because all my slots are taken
Yeah,
up.
it is. Yeah, because you have it on combat. So change where it says mode. Change that to standard. There you go. And then find vitriolic sphere, which is a level 4 spell. And then hit the magnifying glass, and then find that 5d4, drag it over, drop it on him. There you go. Another 13 damage. Yeah, he is looking real rough. Okay, Becky, what's Navardo?
Yes, so he's out of the range of my sphere, right?
He moves slightly. I mean, you could move the sphere over to him.
Yeah. Can I hit him with that?
Okay.
Again.
And he did not succeed, so still burns him. Still alive, but I mean, there's every time you guys are hitting this thing, there's just these bursts of like holes in it, basically, as these wisps start to float out from it, and then just dissipate in the air and are gone. Any action? That's just your bonus action for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
My stuff is concentration, so I'm just gonna use Cure Wound
Okay.
on myself.
All right.
Just level 1.
All right. But if your turn.
Yeah.
All right. So where the crack was that he kind of reached up and ripped off the chunk out of the side of this thing, you see there's a growing burst of light from the inside of the pillar. It begins to split and crack open. Massive shards of it start to fall off to either side and then begin to shatter there, spreading that virulent crystal on even further on every surface that they touch. As the pillar begins to collapse, the Maureen robot that's inside of it is kind of thrown to the floor. She kind of just collapses onto the steps, basically, right in front of, well, between the steps and the platform, basically, but right there, right behind it. You see Faith actually start to back up away from this spreading crystallization. It's covering the room. She's far enough away, but she's the only one that could be potentially crystallized if she were touched by it. She looks kind of worried, though, so she would have, she had a face anyways, but this robot thing that's inside the pillar stands up. It's still holding that disc that was, that it was pointing at the mirror with, and the caudicus ring in the other hand. You see it stand up. It's kind of moving erratically, like it's acting kind of strange. It starts to walk in one direction, and then it kind of jerks itself backwards and starts to walk in a different direction. And then one of its arms starts to point towards the broken shards of the mirror, and the other arm is reaching over and grabbing them, trying to pull it back down. It almost looks like this thing is having a fight with itself, and you see it sort of bend over into like a fetal position almost, and from its conduit in the middle of its body, you see like a dozen or so of those same wisp orbs that just come flying out of it, just throwing in all directions, that similarly start to dissipate once they get a little bit further away from her, as if they've been ejected out of it. She stands up, but there's a much fainter light in the fuse in the middle of it right now, and you hear the robot kind of points at Legion, and she says, "Get the hell away from my son!" And you see a new beam of this bright white light that shoots out from the disc in her hand that strikes Legion in the chest. Legion recoils back, the spirits that are continuing to separate there. I don't think that'll be enough. Whoops. Yeah, not quite enough. Whoops. There we go. It is damn close to being dead, but it's still there. But the bot starts to run through it, and the Legion doesn't have a chance to react. But the bot runs over towards Oliver's body, basically under Legion's feet, and gets over to the body. It is Peter's turn. What are you doing?
All right, I don't really have much left, so
Well, it has 5 HP left, so if you've got something that can do 5 HP.
Just don't roll a 1 again.
maybe Toki could actually do something next round, huh? I'm gonna shoot a firebolt. Hopefully, I can hit with that.
Okay. Go ahead and just have it targeted and hit your cast button. And it hits. And there you go. That's not the song that was supposed to be, but whatever. All right. So you, from a fucking baseball or a football field away almost, kind of arc this firebolt up, and it kind of sails through the air and comes down in the slow arc and just smashes this thing right through what would be its face if it had one. And you see, almost like, have you guys ever seen a water balloon popped with a needle, like in slow-mo? how it
Yeah.
kind of it erupts around it, and there's just this shape inside that was there, but now it doesn't have a skin anymore. And that's essentially it. The skin just kind of erupts off of this thing, and all of these individual little souls that were inside of it begin just flitzing out in all different directions, like an erupted balloon. It just bursts out everywhere. You see as it does this, and as it kind of, which Sako got his first kill in, I guess, for a boss there. I think Becky's gotten all the previous ones. I don't think Ben hardly ever gets boss kills.
I can't remember.
I don't think so.
At least the ones I can think of, anyway. But so, anyways, this thing kind of erupts around it. You see the spiritual embodiment kind of tearing itself apart, and out of the corner of your eye, you can see Maureen there. She is she's been smashing her hands against the ground over and over and over again. These robotic hands, just beating them against the ground over and over and over again until the hands begin to break off and these bare wires are exposed. She jams her exposed wrist into Oliver's chest over and over again, like she's trying to shock him back to life, like a defibrillator. There it is. She's trying to revive him or stabilize him. He's still pouring blood out of him. He's in really, really bad shape. But that thing is dead. You guys are back in this room now. There's nothing there. There's no corpse. It's just gone. Because there wasn't any skin to be had in the first place. But you guys are all in this kind of destroyed room with, a chunk of the ceiling ripped down, a chunk of the floor thrown up, and just massive chunks of crystal everywhere. So what are you doing?
Well, first of all, I'm using my heal on the crow's mark.
Oh,
The
yeah.
dude's dead.
Yep, go ahead.
And then
That lasted 8
when you-
rounds. If it had gone 2 more rounds, you wouldn't get the heal from it.
Huh. Yeah. All right. Well, we need to tell Maureen that that we need the ring. We need to get the ring for Maureen. So
Well,
'Cause she's the one with it, right?
She has it. She has it. She doesn't have hands anymore. But there's
where did the ring go flying off when her hands broke,
make a.
or is she still in
you're-
possession of it?
You're right by her, anyways. Go ahead and roll an investigation.
Okay.
Yeah, with that roll, especially with the proficiency, you are double proficiency. Wait, are you? No, you're not double. Yeah, that's not expertise, just regular proficiency. You look down and see that it's basically right by her. She's closer to it than you are, but it is on the ground next to her. It looks like she probably just dropped that and the disc that she was using that was sending those beams out from it on the ground, and she was smashing her hands, and there's just bits of broken hands all over the ground in front of her. But
All right,
it is
I'm
just
gonna
there on the
go.
ground.
I'm gonna reach for the ring, just like while she's still distracted with Oliver.
Okay.
See if I can grab it and put it in my back.
There's no difficulty to it whatsoever. She's not trying to protect it. She's not trying to keep you from it, from any visible representation. It looks like she's basically ignoring that you're even there. You reach down, pluck it off the ground. You can throw it right in your bag. You do notice that as soon as you picked it up, you've kind of this being the 5th time that you've retrieved these, 4th, 5th. You kind of look over your shoulder, and Carrie definitely saw you grab that and was transfixed and staring straight at it when you put it in your bag. And even once it's in your bag, she's still staring at you, staring at your bag specifically, for a good solid second before she kind of shakes her head and then stands still for a second, and like she's just shaking off whatever thrall these things contain. But it's still staring at you there for a second. So what are you doing?
Okay. And then the other item that's on the ground too. Pick it up, get it out of the way too, so it doesn't. I don't know if it has any use anymore, but
Okay.
just in case.
Okay.
Just kind of kick it out of the way at least.
Yeah, and same. I mean, when you grabbed it, even touching it with your hand, you didn't feel anything for either one of these objects when you picked them up and put them in your bag. You did. They could have been plain rocks to you.
Okay, good.
What are Naivara and Peter doing? And Toki, I guess. Faith has flown her way over, seeing when she saw Oliver was smashed. She kind of flew over there to try to help and panic. Sorry, what's Naivara doing?
I was gonna say, if everybody will get within a 30-foot radius of him, I can heal up to 6 creatures with mass cure wounds, and hopefully it'll do some good for Oliver too.
Well, even, as this is happening, actually, while Kiedis is there kind of picking up things and being indifferent to her dying son, she she says, I'm sorry, but do any of you have any medical training? I mean, I've stabilized him, but he's in terribly poor health. Like, if you please just do whatever you can to help my son, please. So, I mean, in your response to that, sure. Yeah, everybody is within 30 feet for sure, so go ahead.
Okay. I need to target everybody, right?
You could, or you can just roll it and then just drag the number over and drop it on their tokens, and it'll apply it to them. I'll take care of it because I don't have Oliver in the combat tracker. I just have his number. So don't worry about Oliver and Faith, but go ahead and apply it to Peter and Kiedis, and I'll take care of the others. Nice. That's a good heal.
Sweet.
All right, and then you didn't need to roll it a second time. You can use the first number because it was already higher anyways. So do this, Becky.
Okay.
Grab you see where it shows the 7, 6, 3 plus 4 for 20? Grab that 20, drag it, and drop it on Peter, either in the combat tracker or on his token.
Okay.
You dropped it on Toki.
God dang it.
That stupid cat deserves all the healing, apparently.
Sorry. They're right next.
Yeah, he's right next to him. There you go. You putting false life back up? There you go.
There we go.
That's pretty good. Everybody's. Did you heal yourself with it too? It works on you too.
Yeah.
You were cutting out there, G, but I think
Yeah,
always...
I was saying,
Okay.
or he was just saying, put my false life back up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn it, you're cutting out a bunch. I'll drop it on there for you, Becky. There you go. All right, tell me when you guys are... Yeah, you're cutting out a bunch, so let's give it a sec.
While they're cutting out, am I able to walk over and see if I can use some of my medical knowledge to see if I can stabilize him?
He's already stabilized, but is in... I mean, you can definitely do a medicine check on him, though. He's stabilized. Like, she had stabilized him by defibrillating him, and now he's been healed a little bit, but, that... Depending on the kind, basically he took too much damage already, so he may not. He may live, he may not. Narratively, we don't know yet. But how it works with you haven't seen death saves and everything yet. Basically, when you get below 0, if you take more than half of your total HPs in damage, you're just instantly dead. There's no saving from that. So if your max HPs were 30 and you took 45 damage, then you'd be instantly dead because it would take out the 30 plus the half of that, which is for a total of 45, and you'd be instantly dead. And that was the case here, in that he took more than his total, but you guys healed him fast enough that he's not going to be dead. He'll just be unconscious, like in a coma for a little while type of thing. That's what it looks like anyways. You rotated yourself around.
Right.
There you go. But I mean, you can go ahead and roll a medicine check, but that's the information I would give you for that medicine check, is that that he looks like he's gonna pull through. Maybe there's there might be some physical trauma, like he may never walk, that kind of stuff is how I would roll for something like that. Ben and Becky, you guys can hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Now I can.
Okay. All right, so you guys grab that. Over the stones in your ear, you hear the now welcome voice of the director. She says, "Field team, come in. Have you secured the Caudicus ring?"
Yes. Just got it.
She says, "The lab doesn't look like it's moved for a little while. What's the situation?"
Cut out there. Lab hasn't moved in a while. What's
Yeah.
the situation? Is that what she said?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay. Well, good news. It looks like we might have it under control here. So we have
She's-
both items secured.
She says, and Oliver, have you detained him? You're cutting out there. Peter, go ahead and respond. What did Peter say?
Oh yeah, he's detained. He's down right now.
She says, "Wow. Well, I guess I'm glad to hear everything went so well. I was afraid we were going to have another Fandolin situation on our hands." With that, you guys you can still feel it. The lab is still moving down. It's still sinking. Oliver, if he were conscious, would have told you that it's not over. It's just you have to figure out now how to stop the lab from sinking any further. So what are you guys doing?
Does any of us have knowledge on how to get this thing back up?
Well, so Ben, Becky, you guys can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it's
Because
not...
there was that one item that was making the crystals, right? Or was it the ring that was making the crystals?
That was the ring, yeah, the Caudicus ring. So Oliver,
Okay.
so quick recap, I guess, for all of it. Oliver had the ring, was using it to make those gemstones. He opened a portal to the ethereal plane where the dead are, and his mom trying to get his mom through. His mom came through, but she was driven insane by something that had happened. Attacked him, took the ring, was using the ring to turn the place into crystal. You don't necessarily know why for that part, but that part doesn't matter at the moment. Basically, the whole place is turned into crystal, with this virulent crystal that is just spreading everywhere. The lab is still sinking because of the weight of that. So, and even if you were to shoot it off into space, that's not really a long-term solution. But the lab is still continuing to turn to crystal. It's still slow, but it would eventually still sink into the moon. If it touches the moon, everybody's dead.
Okay, so would the crystal still spread if the ring wasn't in the same location? So if we got back to the college with the ring, would the lab just fall and not, turn everything else to crystal when it hits the moon?
When you ask that, Ango pops up over the stones and he says, I don't know, guys. I don't know if I would risk that. I mean, if that thing touches down and it doesn't work, everybody's dead.
Okay. Do we need to destroy the ring if we can?
He says, even in response to that, he says, I mean, all I have to go on is the research we've done, for example, the vine lash, and the vines that were there didn't just disappear when the vine lash was destroyed. They're still there. I mean, they withered up, but they're still there, so I wouldn't count on the crystals disappearing either.
Okay.
Thinking the mom is the key.
Okay.
Try.
Yeah. So do we gotta... Yeah, because her spirit will fly out if we kill her. Do we have to kill her, or what?
Well, while you are kind of having this conversation with Ango and the director over the... oh, I just noticed that... you probably won't, but the token for Faith is Johnny 5. Do you guys remember Johnny 5?
Oh yeah,
He's
Save
still
Live is
alive?
live.
Yep, he's still alive. I haven't seen that in forever, but I was looking for like a robot with that kind of like a facial visor kind of a thing, and that's the one I found was Johnny 5. Anyway, while you were having this kind of conversation back and forth over the stones with the people still at the college, you feel that weight off your shoulder disappear a second. There's a flutter of wings, and Ophelia just reapparates next to you. And she's standing there not looking at you. Same thing, you realize that Carrie, Sophie, and... Well, that's it. I guess Carrie and Sophie don't seem to recognize that anybody else just appeared there, where it is kind of a strange thing to just have a person just snap and appear right next to you. But Ophelia is now standing next to you, looking down at Maureen, who is still cradling Oliver, who is alive and looks like he's going to make it, but will probably have severe physical trauma, like he'll probably never walk again and maybe have some brain damage and that kind of thing. But he's alive. But Ophelia looks down at her. She says, "It's time to go, Maureen." And Maureen, who is still kind of cradling her dead kid, or well, not dead kid, but you know what I mean, like he's not doing so good. She says to him, she says, "Oliver, I'm sorry. I know you did so much to help me, but I can't stay. I have to go back. And when I entered the Cosmoscope, I saw something that I shouldn't, and it really killed me. It destroyed my mind, and I lost myself, and my willpower was taken from me, and the only way that I was able to recover and fight off the spirits that inhabited me in that crystal tomb was to partition what I saw in the Cosmoscope into this conduit's internal memory. But as long as I stay here, I'm in danger of remembering, and I can't lose control like that again. So I know this seems unfair, and he's not understanding this. He's just gone. His eyes are glazed over. He's alive, but he's not like there. He's not responding to any of this." She says, "I know this seems unfair, but it's really not that bad over there. As dour as this sounds, we'll see each other again someday." And she turns over to the three of you. She says, "Please, whatever punishments you require for him, I understand, but please promise me, just do whatever you can. Just keep him safe, please." And he's still there again, just not moving. Ophelia looks somewhat somber for once, which is a little odd. And the handful of times you've seen her kind of taking spirits back, she's usually indifferent almost, and jovial, like she's having a good time doing her job, kind of a thing. And the individuals don't seem to really matter to her too much. But she gives kind of a somber nod. She extends her hand. You see this thin silvery mist being drawn out from the copper coil, the same stuff that you were seeing kind of going back and forth from the other robots. And this copper coil in Maureen's torso begins to kind of flicker and dim until it's gone. And then the light for that is gone, and she just kind of collapses down, still over Oliver's comatose body. What are you doing?
Can we tell if the crystals have stopped spreading? No.
Roll a
Or-
perception. Yeah, just roll perception.
Perception, okay.
Yeah. You look and they don't seem to have changed at all. In fact, you can still see where the giant chunks of the pillar, when the pillar cracked and fell apart, it looks like it's still spreading slowly away from those.
Okay, so it's still going.
Yep.
Okay.
Try to use the ring, I guess. See if we can't stop it that way.
Are you saying that out loud, or is that Becky?
Yes.
Is Navarra saying that?
Yeah.
Okay. If the map is accurate representation, then Carrie definitely heard. Sophie is kind of standing there, mostly kind of staring at her feet. She's very socially awkward, but Carrie is immediately not enraged, but is flipping out that you would even suggest such a thing. Looks at you like are you insane? Now remember, for her, presumably for her or let's say a normal person, somebody that is affected by these things, using that would be a death sentence. There's no way they'd be able to get around it. But for you guys, that may not be the case. You don't necessarily know. So you've said that Carrie kind of not flips out. She's not physically reacting. She's not like angry at you or anything like that. She just has a very aggressive kind of a response to even the thought, I guess. So looks at you, doesn't say a word, looks back at Ketis. Because Ketis is holding the ring.
Hear anything? Can you?
Did you guys not get that?
I say just do it.
Can you guys hear me? I know, Sako, you can.
You were cutting out there, but
Tell you what.
they got basically. Sophie didn't like the idea that
Sophie is just standing there staring at her feet. Carrie was she didn't say a word. So, well, first, I guess, can you guys hear me okay, so that I can finish explaining that?
Cutting out again.
Okay. All right, tell you what, guys, this is basically the end of the session anyway, so we'll go ahead and call it here, and we'll just pick up here next week.
No, you're cutting out really bad.
All right.
Hello?
All right, I'll just type it in Discord. All right, check Discord. I just typed in the D&D channel.
Not good.
Sounds good on my end.